Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
I'm Andrew Pearce. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the
Unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
about 10.
So join me for Lionesses' Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Prime Minister makes a last-minute plea with junior doctors to halt their strike.
Sir Keir Starmer is warning it puts patients at risk and plays into the hands of those who want the NHS to fail.
But with unions digging in, will this standoff sink the health service?
Britain's shoplifting epidemic surges to a record high, with thefts rising by 20% in a year. It comes as the government announced tough Texas-style courts to be rolled out across the country.
Epping's police commissioner tells the government to stop sending migrants to unsuitable hotels to avoid fuelling community tension. It comes as councillors demand asylum seekers are closed amid fears of a summer of unrest.
Donald Trump heads to Scotland. Beginning today, the US president will make a 4-day visit to his golf resort in Ayrshire. Although the trip is being described by the White House as a private visit, he will meet with the Prime Minister.
Tributes pour in for the wrestling legend Hulk Hogan, who's died at the age of 71.
As a survey shows that sewing and needlework are dying out in Britain, we're asking, should domestic skills be taught in school?
And sport this morning, Newcastle United's Alexander Isak has said that he wants to leave with Liverpool, ready to pounce. He doesn't want to leave Liverpool, he wants to leave Newcastle with Liverpool ready to pounce. Good day for England, by the way. In the 4th test against India yesterday, and Emma Raducanu beats a Grand Slam winner in Washington.
Bit of a switch around with the weather today. If you were dull and damp yesterday, chances are you'll see some warm sunshine today. And if you had some sunny spells yesterday, a greater chance of a little bit of rain today. If you can't remember what weather you had yesterday, then join me later for a full forecast.
Just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
You know we've got a shoplifting epidemic.
Yes.
Absolutely do.
You know what we need to fix it?
No.
The Bill.
Oh.
The Bill. Do you remember Reg Hollis from The Bill?
Yeah.
As in the TV show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reg Hollis, TV policeman Reg Hollis, who's the actor Jeff Stewart, stopped a shoplifter.
Oh.
And sat on his legs till the police arrived.
Good.
What, he sat on his own legs, or...?
No, on the...
Oh, he sat on the shoplifter's legs?
Yeah.
Wow.
And stopped him from escaping.
How do you sit on someone's legs?
Well, you get the legs and you sit down.
So he pushes him down?
Yeah, it sits on his
and
legs. Yeah.
Sorry.
Anyway, there you go. This guy's been convicted now. But Reg Hollis, PC Reg Hollis, actually acted in real life.
Well, good on him. Good on him. It's brave to take on a shoplifter.
Hampshire Constabulary said he may be long since retired from Sunhill Police Station, but he's still got it.
So do you think there's still part of him that sees that
he's a police officer?
He learned on the job, clearly.
Was it Hopalong Cassidy, or it was the Lone Ranger, or one of those, years later, believed that they were actually the character they played?
Really?
And went through life like that?
Yeah, but Reg is Reg.
Reg is Reg, yeah.
God, look, I just think it's a great story.
He's
Good
still
on him.
got it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good on him. Well done, Jeff Stewart.
Very good.
Are you wedding obsessed? Still?
Oh, yes, I've got a bit of an update on this. So you know Steve Jobs' daughter is getting married this weekend. We talked about it earlier on in the week.
Yes,
Eve Jobs.
They're hiring the entire Cotswolds.
Yeah, we've got more details now.
Oh.
They're taking over the village of Great Chew. And apparently the budget is said to be $5 million. Could be a lot more, though.
$5 million?
Yeah,
because the papers were saying 50 million the other day.
$5 million could be higher.
For them.
But the high-end guest list includes Kamala Harris, Bono, the Kardashians and Princess Beatrice. Rumours as well that David Cameron's been invited.
Oh. But they can't know all these people.
They've invited 500 people. So it's a big wedding.
It's just like...
Apparently the village is in lockdown.
No, it will be.
Yeah, and they're going to Estelle Manor afterwards, which is a big, like, Jacobean manor house in the Cotswolds. And they've got sniffer dogs out already.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Of all those people, I bet they only know Bono.
But didn't you think the
Everybody
same
knows Bono, don't they?
Well, no, but at least he was involved with Apple. He must have known Steve Jobs.
Was he involved with Apple?
Yeah, because they had all the... Do you remember they had the U2 exclusive iPods and
Oh,
things when
of
they
course.
first launched?
Yeah.
So he must have known... So he probably knew her as a kid.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to give away Apple products.
Probably.
Oh, yeah. You know the
It's a goodie bag. You'll get a goodie bag.
At the end, yeah, like an iPad or
So you've got a goodie bag at your wedding.
Or a MacBook. I know, but you had the free-flowing rosé, which you don't drink.
I don't drink.
Anyway. Did you not try the non-alcoholic version?
Of rosé?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was one.
I covered all fronts.
I didn't know there was one.
Oh, well, you missed out.
I had some non-alcoholic beers.
Well, good. I did provide.
You did provide. No, it's excellent. Right. onto the serious stuff, because junior doctors are walking out. They don't call them junior doctors anymore, do they?
Resident doctors now.
Resident doctors, because apparently it sounds better.
Condescending, if
anyway.
you call them junior doctors, apparently.
Is it really?
That's what they say, yeah.
Well, junior doctors are walking out again, but this time the government says they'll feel the pain.
Well, up to 50,000 resident doctors are launching a 5-day strike demanding a 29% pay rise. That's despite them already having received a 28.9% pay rise boost in the past 3 years.
Well, the government isn't backing down. Health Secretary Wes Streeting has warned that patient care must come first and that striking would hurt the doctors' careers.
But with nearly 1.5 million appointments already cancelled since 2022 due to strike action, will the government be able to hold the line?
Let's talk to former Conservative advisor James Price, who's here. Good morning.
Morning.
Look, it doesn't look like they're going to get anywhere with stopping this. But do we have to salute the government in that they're not backing down this time?
Well, the government would be a stretch, perhaps, but Wes Streeting, definitely. I mean, I think he's been probably the one person in this entire Labour government who's shown any kind of front-footed action at all. This is the guy who abolished NHS England, the quango to end all quangos. I worked in Westminster a long time. I can never tell you what NHS England does as different from the Department for Health. So he seems at least determined to try and fix some of these things, because I think Wes Streeting understands that the NHS model is just fundamentally unfit for purpose. Nothing to do with healthcare being free at the point of use, which is what you get all across Europe, but the funding model and the way that there are so many inefficiencies built in all up and down the system means that more money has to be ploughed into it every single year. And you'll hit a point at some point, the next 50 years or something, where if this doesn't change, that NHS spending is going to account for the entirety of the government spending. So they do have to make various efficiencies, and there's all kinds of low-hanging fruit. Having talked about Eve and Apple just now, all kinds of low-hanging fruit for them to be able to get on. And I'm afraid that if you start striking like this, I got to a point with these guys. I broke my leg a few years ago and went in on a day when there was a junior doctor strike, and they seemed to be having a great old time. Tarquin, go and get me another oak flat white, please, outside the front of the hospital. And it gets to a point where you start thinking, are you not invalidating your Hippocratic oath to do no harm and to help people when you're standing there not bothering to help patients who are coming in, and people will die as a result of this?
Where do you think public support lies this time around, James? Because I was reporting on the last set of junior doctors' strikes, people tooting their horns, lots of public support, people buying them coffees and things like that. Do you think it will be the same way this time around, or do you think people have actually grown tired of this?
I think they will have grown tired of it. I think as time goes on, the more people will have horror stories of bad things happening inside the NHS. And again, that's not to blame any individual person working in it, but people are starting, as time goes on, to realise, as I say, the system isn't working. And you see, what did Labour do? The first thing they did when they came in was give great whacking pay rises to every sector, the public sector, who wanted it, who asked for it. And what have they got in return? Loads more strikes. And this is the problem, trying to appease a tiger, hoping that it eats you last, as Churchill said. I just think that fundamentally striking like this isn't going to work, which isn't to say, by the way, that they don't necessarily have an argument. We're seeing lots and lots of doctors who are trained in Britain, British doctors trained up, and they look over at Australia and places like that who are offering more money because their healthcare system is better funded and it's funded in a more sensible way, or they're looking at European examples, and they're leaving. Well, that's a clear market signal that we should be doing something better on pay. But you can't do that because it's so darn inefficient everywhere else in the system. The NHS still uses pagers and fax machines.
I mean, and to be honest, as much as they may have a point and they deserve more money, they've just had the best part of a 30% pay rise, and now they want another 29%.
Yep.
I mean, in no world is that possible.
No, and I think the sad truth of it, to pull the camera back a little bit, is that Britain is just not a very rich country at the moment. Right? Our debt interest payments are absolutely enormous. They're catching up on health spending at some point. That's not even paying off our debt. That's just the interest we pay to service it, just running on the treadmill just to stand still. You've got the billions of pounds that we're spending on illegal immigrants coming into this country and giving them money to go and gamble and to go and do cash in hand work and all the rest of it. Huge amounts of entitlement spending for people that don't work, and we're cutting off growth everywhere we possibly can. And so is it any surprise we haven't got enough money to go around? But everybody's feeling the pinch, and although they've been told it all the way through their education, junior doctors aren't more special and more wonderful than the rest of us.
All right, well, look, talking of the immigration issue, James, one arrest has been made during more protests outside a hotel housing asylum seekers in Essex yesterday.
Well, dozens of people gathered outside the Bell Hotel, and the arrest was made for a person breaching an order in place that prevents anyone from wearing a face covering. GB News reporter Charlie Peters was there.
Save our kids is the chant behind me as hundreds have gathered outside the Epping Council buildings to demonstrate against a migrant hotel in their town. The Bell down the road, just an 8-minute walk away from this location here, was the scene of an earlier protest by those same locals protesting against over 100 men who had been put up in that hotel. Now, the reason why they're chanting those words, they say, is because they do not feel safe in their local area after a recent alleged sex attack by one of the men being held at that hotel. That, they say, has left many people afraid to come out of their homes. Well, there has been a significant police presence at today's protest, which has gone off without any incident. We've seen police officers from forces around the country coming in to support Essex Police as part of a mutual aid effort. At one point, there seemed to be more police officers than protesters. A serious operational change in the policing tactics, particularly after there had recently been incidents with people being caught up in violence with counter-protesters. As they put forward that message, they want that migrant hotel gone and out of their local community.
Well, James Price is still here in the studio with us. What do you make of the scenes we're seeing in Epping, James?
Well, it's something that some of us have sadly been warning about for a while. You have, in focus groups up and down the country, people spontaneously bringing up fears of civil conflict and even civil war being bandied around. And that's because the government seems to be not listening, not just to the individual incidents like this, as horrifying as the alleged incident here was, but what's the long-term plan of the government here? To keep on allowing tens of thousands of fighting-age men, mostly, coming over here illegally in small boats every single year. You've now got twice as many people have come over as we've got regular members of the British Army, just to put it in scale with how small the British Army is and how many people have come over. And then you're plonking them not just in London, where people might be more used to this sort of thing, but in small towns and villages all up and down the country. People are rightly very angry. You heard Charlie there say that police officers from all over the country have come over in what they call a mutual aid move. But what happens when these guys move to a different village somewhere, or more of them arrive in a hotel somewhere, and people look at this and go, well, if we protest peacefully, as these guys in Epping have done, then we'll get them moved. So you won't have one protest, or the second one in Canary Wharf, you'll have 30, and then you'll have 300. And the government's only solution is to give these people passports, probably give them houses, is what Keir Starmer said at the start of the week, because there are loads of houses to go around for them, in his own words. And then what's going to happen? You think the problem's going to go away? These people are magically just going to be able to integrate wonderfully into British society as if they're the next Shakespeare? That's not going to happen, and we're just soaring up more and more social tension, and I fear this is going to be a very unpleasant summer.
It does feel like we're reaching a pinnacle on this now, where something is going to have to happen. And it's not that, I mean, we don't want any protest to turn violent. Of course we don't. We don't want to be in a situation where people are being arrested for voicing their concerns. But at what point will the government sit back and say, something has got to change here?
You think it would have happened already, given the scale of some of these.
Yeah, but there's a change in the air somehow now, isn't there?
Well, there's that old Kipling poem, isn't there, about the English beginning to hate, and it takes a long time and they don't do it very well. But there is, as you say, something I think has started to shift now. How many more Southports, how many more of these sorts of accusations in Epping are going to be going on? You've got the old English philosopher John Locke, from whom we get our whole idea of democracy and legitimacy coming from consent, who said, look, if governments don't provide things they do, then revolution is a perfectly fine thing to do. The Americans obviously took that example, and they're doing OK as a result of it. But it's that feeling of a lack of legitimacy. The fact that these people are coming over here, they're given cards, they can go and spend in casinos, they're given a choice of an iPhone or a fancy Samsung and told how you're doing, all the rest of it, whilst the people who are complaining about it are being put into prison or being threatened with prison or all these sorts of things. Where is it going to end? Because, as you say, people are not going to put up with this for very much longer, when it feels like a lot of these people are coming over here and almost instantly coming and committing allegedly sexual assaults, and stories of them hanging around outside primary schools. We don't want these sorts of people from the third world.
No, but we've got to be careful as well not to demonise everyone with that. I mean, yes, they are very serious and legitimate concerns about some individuals, but we can't say that everyone who's coming over is a sex.
No, but everyone who's coming over illegally has entered illegally. As the first thing they've done, they've broken the law.
Absolutely.
And the one glimmer of hope I've got, I don't think that Keir Starmer is going to be able to deal with this because it's going to hurt the voters in certain seats that they're going to want to hold on to. But we can look over the United States, which also had a terrible problem with its southern border. Something upwards of, 20 million illegal people crossed in the Biden years. That's gone down to 0 just by enforcing the border, which we could do very easily. You've seen all you need is a box cutter to go and slash one of these dinghies up on the French coast to do this. We're going to see how the Americans manage to operationalise the kind of mass deportations of illegal people who shouldn't be here and how to process them. So we'll get to learn from their mistakes. Hopefully they do a good job because we should all hope for America's best outcomes. And then hopefully a new government will come in a few years here and we could institute that as well and get peace and law and order back on British soil.
OK. James Price, you're back with us in the next hour. Thank you very much.
Now, protests are expected as President Trump arrives in Scotland today for a 4-day visit to the country where his mother hailed from.
Well, he will travel to his Turnberry Golf Resort and, of course, at many. But there are currently no plans for the president to meet the king. The White House says that the president will meet Sir Keir Starmer, though, to discuss trade while he's in the UK.
Well, our political editor Christopher Hope spoke to the Trade Secretary, Jonathan Reynolds, about planned protests. Let's have a listen.
So is the left wrong to demonise Trump? He's landing this weekend. I mean, there will be protests. And whatever you think what he says, I mean, he does battle for his country, doesn't he?
There are things I would profoundly disagree with, but I would respect any legitimate leader of a key ally and partner.
Yeah.
And also, I said to people in Parliament, I said a few times, look, I've been offered in Parliament all kinds of advice and in the press of how to deal with this relationship. Most of it terrible, to be honest. I mean, you could play it for politics, like the Liberal Democrats in particular, boycott this, don't talk to the Americans. Right? That would have cost tens of thousands of jobs. Jaguar Land Rover supports over 44,000 jobs in the UK, right? So when I see people, it's not that I don't understand legitimate grievances. I really understand how when I look at things, I could have that as well. But I want them to understand why I am going to fight for this country's interests, fight to keep people in work, because you can play it for the politics. At the end of the day, that would be tens of thousands of people from backgrounds like mine, people I went to school with, Nissan factory in Sunderland, who would be, out of work.
Well, Chairman of Republicans Overseas UK, Greg Swenson, joins us now. Good to see you, Greg.
Good to be here.
And this is a trip about golf, but also bilateral talks, it seems.
Yeah, I think that, the president will mix it up a bit. He'll play some golf. He's planning on meeting with Keir Starmer. Good for him. I think, the Prime Minister, so far, so good in terms of how he's managing the relationship. Obviously, they don't align politically. And I think you could say the same for Mandelson, the ambassador, but Mandelson's doing a great job. And you saw him in the Oval Office during the trade deal announcement a few months back. So, so far so good. I think, given, again, the political differences, I think they're managing the relationship rather well.
Will it be a difficult visit, though, in terms of the amount of pressure that the president's under at home at the moment?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, he's probably due for a holiday. He's had a really incredible and quite successful 6 months in spite of some of the heat he's getting, but that's normal for President Trump. The haters will hate, and I think the Democrats will, do their best to try to block just about everything he does.
But what do you make of what we're seeing over this Epstein business? I mean, I don't know what to make of it all. I mean, these files aren't being released.
Right.
But a lot of the pressure, or the strongest pressure, is coming from within the MAGA movement. Now, that's problematic, isn't it?
That is, and I think it's been difficult to navigate because I think they almost ginned it up a little too much. During the campaign, they were arguing that they were going to release the files and, essentially do what the Democrats didn't do. And they got people's expectations high. And I think when they got in office, or more recently, they've decided that maybe this isn't a good idea to release them. Look, if the Democrats had released the files, during Biden's term, or if there was anything in there that was arguably indictable, if there was any kind of information that would lead to prosecution, it would have been done already. And so I think there's some arguments on both sides. I think the problem is they got people's expectations lifted a little too high.
What are the options on the table now for Donald Trump? I mean, we saw those conversations yesterday, didn't we, between the Deputy Attorney General and Ghislaine Maxwell?
Right.
I mean, what are they hoping to achieve there?
That's a great question, and I don't know, because, you know, she's already been tried, and I think if anything was valuable in her, you know, in any information that she had any value, you would know it already. And I think the prosecutors, and remember, her trial happened in 2020, I believe, during Trump's first term, at the end of his first term. So I don't think there's going to be anything new. I can't imagine that there would be, but who knows?
I mean, I don't understand why this is so politically charged, in a sense. Is he named in these documents? Well, probably.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, along with everybody else who was important at the time, and politicians of all colours in this one, because we've got pictures of Epstein with everybody.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, the president, believe me, if there was anything damning in the Epstein, so-called Epstein files about President Trump, it would have been leaked during Biden's term. Clearly, that wasn't the case. So, you know, I think the president's got a pretty clean slate on this, but. You know, were they friends? Of course they were. I mean, they were kind of New York playboys back in the 80s and 90s. And so it's not surprising. And then President Trump ultimately threw Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, out of the club. And so, you know, I think the president has very little to lose here. But the problem is the expectations, as I said, are really high. And it's from within the party. And then the Democrats, it's purely political theater. They sat on the so-called files for 4 years. And now they're demanding that President Trump release the files. So I'm not sure there's a lot of credibility there. But Stephen, you're right. It's within the party. That's been it's a little awkward, to say the least.
OK. Greg, thank you very much.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Right, it is 22 minutes past 6. Let's get a check on the weather for you with Alex.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Bit of a switch around with the weather today. Some places having some pretty warm sunshine. In the west, where we saw a fair bit of sunshine yesterday, there's more cloud around, and it's a bit of a damp start for western Scotland, parts of Northern Ireland too. After some rain yesterday, it's dangling in the southeast, looking much brighter today with some good spells of sunshine. The cloud and drizzly rain will spread through the central belt of Scotland into parts of northwest England, maybe West Wales, seeing a splash or two of light drizzly rain by this afternoon. But a good part of England and Wales will be dry and quite warm in this central zone over the Midlands down to parts of southeast Wales, temperatures getting into the mid-20s. Skies brightening for the afternoon over western Scotland and Northern Ireland. Slightly fresher feel here, but still some sunny spells. Just a few showers coming into the Highlands and the Western Isles. Some patchy rain over eastern Scotland into the late afternoon, but should clear away through the evening, as should any rain through the central belt. So turning fine and dry here, and mostly fine to end the day across Northern Ireland. Some thicker cloud edging into Wales, southwest England, the odd little bit of rain here and there. Much of the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast staying fine through this evening, and still quite warm here also. Any of that rain tending to fizzle out as this band of cloud drifts its way from west to east across England and Wales. All the while tonight, a few showers will brush in on the brisk breeze across the far northwest as temperatures drop down into the low mid-teens in some places. On to the start of the weekend. It will be a fairly cloudy start, I suspect, across a good chunk of England and Wales. A bit of uncertainty about where we see the showers on Saturday. There is the potential, and it is just that, the threat of 1 or 2 heavy showers over East Anglia and the southeast, especially through the afternoon. For the Midlands, Northern England, southern Scotland, a scattering of showers. Quite a few showers again in the far northwest, but many areas will be dry on Saturday. We'll see some sunshine, not quite as warm, but temperatures close to average, high teens, low 20s.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's time now for our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, I'm Mark Wilson, a Church of England vicar in West Bromwich. Today is St James's Day, and so what a fantastic day to be inside St James's Church. On the 21st of April 1947, on her 21st birthday, Queen Elizabeth II said these words: I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong. And up until her final days, she did receive her red boxes, and it's believed in her final moments, she published a memo. Even if Her late Majesty didn't hold any actual political power, her influence was massive. But her service was lifelong. There's a story in the Bible where James and John's mum went to Jesus and asked for them to be on his right and on his left in his kingdom. I mean, what a question to ask. And you can imagine James and John now being embarrassed. Mum, please, no. But Jesus, his response was actually, were they willing to do what he does? To drink the cup from which he drinks, to be baptized in the baptism that he was baptized in, to do the ministry that he ministers. Obviously, that ends with Jesus dying on the cross. But that's the question, isn't it? Will they serve? Because the Bible says that this is what a true leader does, to give themselves to service. This is what our late Queen did too, to serve to the end. I just hope that I can serve as Jesus served and put others before myself.
Now it is 27 minutes past 6. Still to come, Britain's shoplifting epidemic surges to a record high. It's up 20% in a year. But the government's announcing new courts to try to deal with it. We'll tell you more in a moment.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's 6:30 now. Shoplifting has soared to a record high. It won't surprise you, with more than 530,000 offences in just 1 year.
You can imagine those are the ones being reported, and a lot will go unreported, won't it? Well, in response, the government is rolling out Texas-style crime-cutting courts to crack down on Britain's repeat offenders.
It's being backed by a £700 million plan. It will target prolific thieves, forcing them into strict rehab and regular judge check-ins.
Well, let's get more, shall we, with prison and justice journalist David Shipley, who joins us live this morning. Morning to you, David.
Morning.
Morning. I mean, this won't surprise people, will it? They've seen it in their high streets, they've seen it in their local supermarkets. It's up 20%. What's this Texas-style court all about? How's it going to work?
These are called intensive supervision courts. And I'm actually very keen on these because I think we often have this kind of fake distinction in this country between tough on crime and soft on crime. And by tough, we mean locking people up in jails where they often get addicted to more drugs and nothing good happens. And soft, we mean just letting people go and not solving crime. And the idea with intensive supervision courts is that people are given very personalised, specific things they have to do. You know, the judge might say, right, you need to attend these programs, you need to stay clean, you need to not be taking drugs for the next 6 months, you need to demonstrate that you can get a job. If you come back and having done those things, I won't send you to jail. It's something they do in quite a lot in the US. And I think as long as it's backed up by really good interventions when people get given those sentences, it can be very, very effective.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot to be said for it, and there's a lot of track record in the States to say it can work. The problem here is people who are shoplifting very often aren't getting arrested, so they're not even going to get into the system to begin with.
That is the huge issue. If you go back 10 years ago, about 15% of crimes resulted in someone being charged. Now it's less than 6%. So we've had a collapse in the rate of crimes actually being solved. I think for shoplifting, it's actually lower than that average. So people rightly want to see crime getting solved. And I think that's almost more important than how long we jail the people we catch for. People would rather that, half of or more of shoplifters are actually getting caught. The police are actually doing something about these crimes.
Is it helpful, though, and do you have hope that if you're looking at something in a holistic view like this, that if you can tackle drug and alcohol addiction, that does help tackle crime?
I mean, it does with a lot of property crime. A lot of property crime is driven by, by people who have drug addiction issues. And actually, if you could solve them, that would be a huge, huge reduction in crime. A lot of that sort of crime is also, though, driven by particular migrant groups, actually, if you look at the statistics. So there's a lot of organised criminal gangs, often Albanian migrants are particularly involved in this, where they are doing organised shoplifting as a business. So this won't really address that, but I think, yes, it can potentially make quite a big difference.
OK. David Shipley, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed.
Now, at 6:34, if you're travelling to work this morning, here's your traffic and travel update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Road users will find no access to the A723 at Motherwell from the M74 southbound junction, 6 off-slip due to ongoing maintenance. Drivers should follow the signed diversion route to avoid congestion and allow extra time for their journey. In Nottingham, the A53 southbound faces delays due to congestion between the junctions of the A52 and the M1. Drivers should plan accordingly. And on the trains, both the Elizabeth line from Abbey Wood to London Paddington and Hull trains have a reduced service due to industrial action. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Now, it's the last week to see if you could win £54,321 tax-free on us. Lines close next Friday, so you don't want to miss out. Here's how you enter.
It's the final week to see how you could win big. It's our biggest cash prize to date, an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. What would you do with that? With all of that cash, you could just chill out, treat yourself and indulge in the finer things in life, somewhere like here, Downhall Hotel and Spa. You really could win the cash giveaway of the summer. Make sure you don't miss out on our biggest cash giveaway to date.
For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lionesses' Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's News Channel.
Paul's got the sport. Good morning, Mr. Coit.
Good morning, Mr. Dixon.
Who's Alexander Isak?
Alexander Isak is probably Newcastle's best footballer.
Oh, that one.
That
Alexander
Isak. Yeah, you're getting confused with the singer, Chris Isak.
That's who I was thinking
Wicked
of.
Game and all that.
Yeah.
That's him.
I never dreamed that I flew somebody like you. Yeah, that one.
Ellie looking nonplussed.
It's a good song.
Alexander Isak is a fantastic footballer. He's Swedish, he's a striker, and he has been their best player by far. Now, the thing is, Newcastle are heading out on their tour of Asia, as every Premier League team seems to be doing this time of year because that's where the money is. So it was announced their 30-man squad, and that Alexander Isak has missed out due to a minor thigh injury.
Wow.
And it doesn't seem like there's any minor thigh injury. It's because he wants to leave. So Alan Shearer spoke about this yesterday and said, why don't they just tell the truth and be honest about it? You can understand what Newcastle are doing. They're trying to work this out behind the scenes. But Isak wants out. He's got 3 years left on his contract. It's all about, obviously, there's money, prestige. People are saying to him, you're so good, you don't want to be there, you need to be at a bigger club. Newcastle, arguably the richest club in the world because of their owners, but with the way that the financial fair play works, they can't spend all the money they have because they have to earn it before they spend it. So if it's a situation of him going, Isak saying, well, I want £350,000 a week, I want £400,000 a week, yes, they can afford it, but according to financial regulations, they can't spend it. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's going to be gone, and it's now just a matter of they don't want to be a selling club. Newcastle want to be someone that's challenging, but they need to sell him if that's the situation, because you've got players that will then go, even though he's got 3 years left in his contract and they could hold him to that, he could say, I'm not going to play. What are you going to do about it? So then they have no choice because players always seem to have the power. So Liverpool, again, will be interested. And Liverpool, I've got to tell you, this season look very scary because they're making very good signings. If they get Isak as well, that's it. So it looks like he's going to be gone.
Now, look, I'm very concerned about the rumours at Spurs. Very concerned.
Heung-min gone. It could be.
No, I don't.
It could be.
Do you know what? I think that'd be very silly, and I'll tell you why. Because, and you need to tell your bosses this.
Yes.
When I went into the Spurs shop, everyone was from South Korea.
Yeah, it's true.
Everybody.
It's true.
They must spend a fortune.
They have. See, I've asked about this, and when you go to the club, the South Koreans everywhere.
Everywhere.
I mean, he is. You could not imagine I couldn't even compare him to a star here because he is so famous and so loved, and also a lovely fella as well.
Nice guy.
He's the sort of... I mean, this really takes him doing, is that for the 10 years he's been at Tottenham, who is that? There he is with his best pal. There he is with his best pal, chewing the fat. But he is such a lovely man.
And he's nice with the children and the mascots.
But that's it. Everybody. He deals with everybody the same, and he hasn't changed in all the years he's been there. So I wish him everything he deserves, which is good. Now, the way that this works is that there's no news yet whether he's going to go, but Spurs are also heading to Asia. They're going to be playing in South Korea, which is Heung-min Son land. So he will go there. But there's a clause in this contract that Tottenham Hotspur have over there to say that he has to play. So they're not going to get rid of him or want him to leave or else they won't get all the money that they make. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's heading over. It's a possibility. They're saying about Los Angeles FC, possibly Saudi Arabia.
No.
He's 33 years old. Commercially, see, that's it. Commercially, the money he's worth to the club for everybody that comes over and buys all the shirts.
Yeah.
So I'd keep him until he was 50. Keep him.
Me too.
Just keep him around.
You're right.
So there's a chance that he's not going to be around.
All right, Paul, we've got to leave it there, but we shall see you a little bit later.
OK, we've got
Coity.
Euros to talk about in the next hour.
Yes. Do stay with us still to come. We'll be going through the papers with Theo Usherwood and Charlotte Griffiths. But first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. It's the hottest time of the year over the eastern Mediterranean, but even so, temperatures are going to be 5 to 10 degrees above average through Cyprus and parts of Turkey. Inland temperatures could get into the mid-40s. Not hot, though, across central and western parts of the Med, with quite a few outbreaks of showery rain spreading south across Italy. Largely fine and sunny for Spain and Portugal. Plenty of sunshine in the Canaries, and temperatures also rising in Tenerife into next week, getting into the mid-30s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Now imagine this. You spend your entire life dreaming of public service. You work your way up to become the Director of Public Prosecutions. You then become a Member of Parliament, and just next to your constituency is a world-famous museum hosting
I'm imagining it, Tom.
waxworks of famous figures, and you dream that one day you will be featured in this mausoleum, for want of a better word. You become Prime Minister and you think, now, finally, my waxwork will be on display at the world-famous Madame Tussauds. And then they say no.
And then you find out that Theresa May has one.
Oh.
Yes, so Madame Tussauds, there's Theresa May. There she is in her suit.
Yeah,
she was always one for colourful outfits.
Theresa May has a waxwork there, so does Boris Johnson, of course. It's reasonable to expect the Prime Minister would have thought that he would join the likes of David Cameron, Theresa May and Boris Johnson with a waxwork.
Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
Winston Churchill has one. Harold Macmillan, apparently, was previously displayed. Tony Blair.
Of course.
Tony Blair, of course. But apparently, so Madame Tussauds can't be sure that he'll still be relevant in 5 years' time. That's the reason.
Is that why they've said it? No.
They can't be sure, so they want to put the money into it, presumably.
Wow.
I could imagine Keir Starmer commissioning his own.
And yet, Lord Salisbury had a waxwork, the Marquis of Salisbury, Harold Macmillan, and David Lloyd George, of course. But the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland...
Think about this.
...does not have a waxwork because he's not relevant.
A spokesperson told the Metro, "We have no current plans to make a figure of the British Prime Minister."
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
6:48, time for the papers with political commentator Theo Usherwood and editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths. Morning to you both. Charlotte, should we have a look at the Sun and asylum seekers taking a bit of a liberty?
Excellent headline, taking a liberty. So asylum seekers went from a hotel in Wembley straight to Liberty, the department store in London, our treasured department store. It's absolutely ancient. And actually, Liberty isn't doing that well, apparently, these days. It's doing well, but not as well as its glory years, you know? So the last thing it can do is afford to lose loads of really expensive garments. But the Sun were tipped off by the hotel in Wembley, tracked these asylum seekers to Liberty and just watched them as they stole loads of really expensive stuff. So, yeah, it's not a good look, to say the least.
I mean, the problem with this is, and I know maybe it's the wrong attitude, but you sort of think, why are they not grateful for what they're getting already without thinking they can just come here and plunder?
Well, one thing I do worry about is, of course, they've come over here illegally, so they've already got that sort of propensity to maybe not be law-abiding. This is the thing. And also, there's such an interesting stat in here. 70% of shoplifters in the West End are asylum seekers. 70%. Wow. And there must be a lot of shoplifting in the West End anyway. But to think that and it's so easy to follow them. It's easy for The Sun to follow them from Wembley. Apparently, it was a very organised gang, and they'd obviously discussed it at length. I followed them, but obviously the cops can't seem to do that. Yeah, they leave it to the press.
We were just talking to David Shipley, who's a prison and justice journalist, and he was saying just that the majority of shoplifting that you see is actually organised crime, the likes of Albanian gangs, who are running it like a business. They're making money this way.
And we've seen the shoplifting stats are through the roof.
Up 20%.
Up 20%. That was out this week. And it is a recipe for disaster, what we're seeing, and it's just the police are overstretched, so they can't turn up. Security in these department stores can only hold them for 4 hours apparently, and so the police don't have the resources, so they inevitably they have to let them go. I was up in Epping outside the Bell Hotel this week. It feels It feels like a tinderbox. People are really angry. You know, I wasn't there for the protests. I was there. I just went down there to do a couple of reports after the press conference from Ben Julian Harrington, the Chief Constable of Essex Police, and you had people winding down their windows and shouting, a lot of anger from just ordinary people, nobody is winning in this current situation. The government doesn't seem to have a plan that is going to work to reverse the current trend. We've seen the Britannia Hotel in Canary Wharf, and this is, I know it's near where I live. It's a nice hotel. It costs 400 quid a night. Views over the City of London. That's now having to be converted to a house.
They are shutting the spa, though. You know, so that's
What I find interesting is there's a ring of steel around that hotel. Why can't there be a ring of steel around Liberty? And also John Lewis and Oxford Street. This is going to make people really angry, because these are quite treasured national landmarks, actually. You know, if John Lewis and Oxford Street gets hit, you know, the nation feels it in their heart. We love John Lewis, you know.
Theo, can we have a look at The Guardian? Because finally, Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana are launching the new party, which doesn't have a name or any policies yet.
Doesn't have a name. I thought it was very funny, because I think another news outlet tweeted something along the lines, it's going to be called Your Party, because they just looked at the website that Zara Sultana and Jeremy Corbyn had tweeted, and then Zara Sultana turned around and said, it's not called Your Party, we haven't decided the name yet. And of course this comes after she apparently bounced Jeremy Corbyn into leading this, saying she's going to lead this party with him. It feels like it's just a political nightmare party. It's not going to win any. It's not going to win any votes. But I think underneath there's a real potential to cause Keir Starmer major problems. If you look at the alliance, and I noticed on X a number of those independent MPs who stood on pro-Palestine tickets during the last election, to organise with this party, if they're to start to put pressure on Labour MPs in other parts of the country. Think about Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary. We'll be discussing him in a minute, over in Ilford North. Angela Rayner, Jess Phillips, the Home Office Minister, has got a seat in Birmingham. There's a real threat on the left of politics to Keir Starmer's government.
Do you think, Charlotte, it's going to have an impact?
I think
or enough of an impact?
I think it might split the vote. That's probably the only impact it will have. I can't imagine it's going to get off to a flying start. People like me who aren't that interested in Jeremy Corbyn's politics, I'm already completely baffled. I don't understand what it's called. I don't understand. They're saying that they're going to put it out to people and people can decide its policies. That's the kind of thing, you know, you have to start with so much strength and a message and a logo and a name.
Sounds like student politics, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's Sultana all over, isn't it?
And it was fumbled from the beginning, wasn't it, really? Because Zara Sultana started talking about this, a month ago?
Yeah.
And Jeremy Corbyn was like, no, nothing concrete just yet.
But if they can get their act together, the obvious example is what happened up in Runcorn and Helsby, because the Greens haven't been doing very well. But you know, Labour lost that seat by 6 votes. Yeah, we ended up in a situation where,
Theo, Charlotte, thank you very much. We'll see you in the next hour.
Right, time for the weather now with Alex.
expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Bit of a switch around with the weather today. Some places having some pretty warm sunshine. But in the west, where we saw a fair bit of sunshine yesterday, there's more cloud around, and it's a bit of a damp start for western Scotland, parts of Northern Ireland too. After some rain yesterday, it's dangling in the southeast, looking much brighter today with some good spells of sunshine. The cloud and drizzly rain will spread through the central belt of Scotland into parts of northwest England, maybe West Wales, seeing a splash or two of light drizzly rain by this afternoon. But a good part of England and Wales will be dry and quite warm in this central zone over the Midlands down to parts of southeast Wales, temperatures getting into the mid-20s. Skies brightening for the afternoon over western Scotland and Northern Ireland. Slightly fresher feel here, but still some sunny spells. Just a few showers coming into the Highlands and the Western Isles. Some patchy rain over eastern Scotland into the late afternoon, but should clear away through the evening, as should any rain through the central belt. So turning fine and dry here, and mostly fine to end the day across Northern Ireland. Some thicker cloud edging into Wales, southwest England, the odd little bit of rain here and there. Much of the Midlands, East Anglia, the southeast staying fine through this evening, and still quite warm here also. Any of that rain tending to fizzle out as this band of cloud drifts its way from west to east across England and Wales. All the while tonight, a few showers will brush in on the brisk breeze across the far northwest as temperatures drop down into the low mid-teens in some places. On to the start of the weekend. It will be a fairly cloudy start, I suspect, across a good chunk of England and Wales. A bit of uncertainty about where we see the showers on Saturday. There is the potential, and it is just that, the threat of one or two heavy showers over East Anglia and the southeast, especially through the afternoon. For the Midlands, Northern England, southern Scotland, a scattering of showers. Quite a few showers again in the far northwest, but many areas will be dry on Saturday. We'll see some sunshine, not quite as warm, but temperatures close to average, high teens, low 20s.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Due to planned maintenance, access is unavailable to the A723 Motherwell from the M74 southbound at Junction 6 off slip. Motorists must follow the diversion and allocate extra journey time. The M4 eastbound is closed between Junction 45 Innisforgan and Junction 44 Lonlass for maintenance, with diversions. In Oldham, significant congestion persists on the A663 southbound at the juncture with the M60, but normal conditions are anticipated soon. And on the trains, the Elizabeth line operates a reduced service between Abbey Wood and London Paddington, and Hull trains face reductions. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's the final week to see how you can win big, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? The holiday of a lifetime? Or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? Lines close on the 1st of August, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday Five.
You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight. On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Good morning. The Prime Minister makes a last-minute plea with junior doctors to halt their strike.
Whilst Keir Starmer is warning it puts patients at risk and plays into the hands of those who want the NHS to fail.
But the unions are digging in. So will this standoff sink the health service?
Britain's shoplifting epidemic surges to a record high, with thefts rising by 20% in a year. It comes as the government announced tough Texas-style courts to be rolled out across the country.
The Epping Police Commissioner tells the government to stop sending migrants to unsuitable hotels to avoid fuelling community tension. It comes as councillors demand asylum centres are closed amid fears of a summer of unrest.
Donald Trump heads to Scotland today. The US president will make a 4-day visit to his golf resort in Ayrshire. Although the trip is being described by the White House as a private visit, he is going to meet with Sir Keir Starmer.
Tributes pour in this morning for wrestling legend and actor Hulk Hogan, who's died at the age of 71.
As a survey shows that sewing and needlework are dying out in Britain, we're asking, should domestic skills be taught in school?
And in sport this morning, Alexander Isak has said that he wants to leave Newcastle United with Liverpool ready to pounce. Good day for England in the fourth test against India yesterday, currently 133 runs behind, with 8 first innings wickets remaining. I will get through this, I swear.
Eventually.
And Emma Raducanu has beaten 4-time Grand Slam winner Naomi Osaka in Washington. Thank you.
Bit of a switch around with the weather today. If you were dull and damp yesterday, chances are you'll see some warm sunshine today. And if you had some sunny spells yesterday, a greater chance of a little bit of rain today. If you can't remember what weather you had yesterday, then join me later for a full forecast.
Just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Now, how much would you want to pay for a slice of carrot cake and a bottle of water?
I'd like.
I mean, it's
special cake.
I'd like to pay about £5. I think it'll be about £5.
Yeah, well, it's not. It's £11 in Buckingham Palace.
Well, you're in Buckingham Palace.
I don't think that's. There's a guy complaining about it. I sort of don't think that's beyond expectations.
It's Buckingham Palace.
They've got it's a tight audience. Costs you 35 quid to get in.
Well, I mean, yeah, but how much is...
Not a cheap day out.
And how many slices in the cake are you going to get? It's one of the most expensive cakes ever. You imagine just buying the cake.
Well, yeah, but it looks like a fairly big slice. He took a picture of it. I don't think that's... I mean, it's a lot of money, but you're in Buckingham Palace. The one thing that really irritates me is you can have a cream tea.
Love a cream tea.
Which comes in a tin, so it's all just pre-packaged in a tin for 2 people. It doesn't look like it would feed one. 50 quid.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's not so fun. It looks like a little lunchbox.
If you want 2 Buckingham Palace gin and tonics, it's £60. Oh. If you want 2 glasses of English...
£60 for 2 gin and tonics?
No, with the breakfast.
Oh, that's not too bad.
And if you want 2 glasses of English sparkling wine with it, it's £80.
Yeah,
but it's not. That's not enough. We'd need one each.
I think it's outrageous.
Doesn't make the carrot cake look too bad though for 11 quid.
No, it makes the carrot cake look cheap.
You say the carrot cake looks big. You see, it's a very, very, very small plate though. You know, it's just.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. Maybe.
So I mean, I know it's expensive, but
I love carrot cake.
The Queen may have made it herself.
Oh come on, Steve! You're giving excuses to Buckingham Palace.
She likes to cook. Oh. She's a good baker, apparently.
I had a slice of carrot cake yesterday.
Oh, did you?
And I thought that was quite expensive. That was £2.20. Oh, like a little slither, but that's a bargain, yeah, compared to...
You need a good... I hate it when they give you a slice of cake and it's just a little bit. You need a great big chunk.
People don't serve big portions like that anymore.
What's wrong with them?
Mug of tea, loads of cream on the top.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. But
top.
you're Buckingham Palace. I don't think that's too bad.
£5 to get in seems like a lot of money.
Yeah, it does. I'd do it, though, to be fair.
Yeah,
I'd love to go inside Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, I'd like to have a nosy round. I've never been in.
We should. That'd be a great day out.
It's
on you.
Oh, don't think so. Now, junior doctors are walking out again. This time, the government says they will feel the pain.
Well, up to 50,000 resident doctors are launching a 5-day strike demanding a 29% pay rise. That's despite them already having received a 28.9% pay boost in the past 3 years.
The government isn't backing down, though. Health Secretary Wes Streeting has warned that patient care must come first and that striking could hurt their careers.
But with nearly 1.5 million appointments already cancelled since 2022 due to strike action, will the government be able to hold the line?
Let's talk to former Conservative advisor James Price. I mean, they've got no... In a way, the government's got no option but to hold the line, because if they give way on this, everyone's going to follow suit.
Yeah, absolutely right. These junior doctors want to have their cake and eat it too, as we were talking about just now on the cake front. And that kind of cakeism is something we got used to under Boris Johnson. That was his policy, remember, on having cake and eating it. And when Boris and other Tories were trying to negotiate and deal with the junior doctors, you had Labour saying, oh, this is very terrible. They're trying to destroy the NHS. You know, how many times have we heard Labour politicians say, oh, you just want to sell it off and you want an American-style system where everybody dies and the NHS is the best thing in all of human history. And that kind of hyperbole in opposition, I think, is one of the things that's now coming back to bite this Labour government. Because they haven't got much of a plan. They came into office now over a year ago. I know it feels like a decade and a half. And they gave not just the doctors, but everybody else who wanted to strike huge, great pay increases at obviously the expense of everybody else, because that's how it works. And now they've come back for more. Who could have thunk it?
Well, isn't it then just entirely predictable that this could have happened? I mean, they, by that metric, by that decision that they made last year, they opened up Pandora's box.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And it's not going to stop until you have a fundamental change of how the NHS is funded. I don't mean making it, you have to pay to go and get your leg fixed or anything like that. European systems manage to work with healthcare being free at the point of use, but they have social insurance models, they have ways if you can't pay for insurance, the state pays, all kinds of other innovative ways that we can fix healthcare. And you have lots of politicians, especially Labour ones, saying, oh, we should look to Europe and how they do things there. We can look to Australia, who has a great healthcare system. For some reason, we don't ever do it when it comes to the NHS, because I think it's been lauded up, almost fetishised in some ways.
It's like a religion,
Yeah,
isn't
exactly right. It was Nigel Lawson in the 1980s who said the NHS is the closest thing that we have in Britain to a national religion these days. The problem with that is when you then try and change it, you try and make it more sustainable, you dare to say that avoidable deaths are worse than they are in Slovakia and that cancer survival rates are worse than they are in Czechia and places like that. You get, oh, again, you just want to privatise it and sell it off to your mates, blah, 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 blah. But as Labour are discovering, it's easy to say that in opposition. When you come in and you realise these people are, as far as I can see, pretty unreasonable when it comes to their demands and their inability to negotiate properly, it becomes very different. And that's the difficulty they're finding now.
Yeah, it's a very big concern, all of this. I mean, and it's not to say that people don't think these doctors should be getting more money than they're on. However, you've got to read the room, haven't you? And at the moment, I mean, there may have been support for them last time round, or some support, but now, when everyone's feeling the pinch so much, and we know the government is stretched, and you know, pensioners are missing out, farmers are missing out, all the rest of it, you can't. There's not going to be a lot of public support for this, is there?
No, and we said this before, that Britain's just not a very rich country at the moment, and in lots of ways it's choosing not to be a very rich country. But it's how you can't separate the issue of doctors' pay or any kind of NHS funding from the wider economy, which is just getting worse and worse under this Labour government. We're choosing to avoid all of the growth that we could have. You're actively sending away rich people, or not even rich people, people who just are trying to earn more, who are deciding to leave and go somewhere else. And that means that there's, taxes are going to have to go up for the rest of us, and even less money for these people. And speaking of people moving away, we know that Australia is actively targeting British doctors with higher salaries. There is a market out there for these people with their talents, and therefore we do have to react to that. But it means that therefore you've got to be more efficient in how you spend money in the rest of the system. No more pagers, no more fax machines, the kind of mad middle management being paid huge sums, all these sorts of things. There's a lot of fat to be trimmed in there, but you've got to have economic reality at the same time, which is not something that Rachel Reeves wants to face at the moment.
Where is this going to end? Because Wes Streeting has been clear that there's no money for anything near 29%. But he is going to look at potentially student loans, pensions potentially, or how much it costs to train. And Jazzy has said just this, saying that there needs to be new contracts, that nurses and doctors should sign that they will work for at least 10 years in the NHS once they're qualified, and then waive their uni or training debt. It means we'll have fewer moving overseas to work.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think we should look at these sorts of ideas. Of course, what happens early on is that we have more people in sixth forms today, say, more young people who want to become doctors than are able to start training for it. Because, again, the unions like the BMA will say, no, we're not going to do that because more people might mean we have less power on this over this system. So there are more people today, young people, who could train to become doctors than are allowed to by groups like this who are protesting. So what happens then with the shortfall? We import doctors from abroad, from third world countries who probably need their doctors, just at the same time, as you say, as we're seeing people leave. So the whole system is completely crackers, and it's only a very small number of us who are willing to put our heads above the parapet and say that this system fundamentally isn't working. It's been quite a lonely argument to make for a long time. And as a Tory, I've got to give some credit to Wes Streeting for starting to make these arguments. He's got to be more radical and go further. He's probably going to lose his seat to the kind of Hamas supporting people in his constituency at the next election, but he could go down as the person who doesn't care about politics and fixes the NHS, and that'd be a much better legacy than anything else.
All right, James, thanks very much indeed. So many of you getting in touch on this one. Adrian's got an interesting point. He says, I've been in the unions for 40 years. Everyone should have the right to strike. But the union for junior doctors should not be asking for 29%. It's far too much. Martin says, I've had a 5% pay rise in over 3 years in the private sector. They want nearly 60%. It's absolute madness. Well, it'll be 60% over that 3-year period. Yeah. Absolute madness, he says.
And that's it about public support, isn't it? I mean, there are lots of people out there who think that our doctors should be paid well, but then they look at their own situation and say, I would love a 5% pay rise at my work. I'm getting nowhere near that. And doctors have been asking for 60% over a number of years.
Yeah, this is the problem. They're looking at pensions, because they have these amazing pensions, much better than the rest of us can ever hope to get. So maybe, well, you'll pay you more, but your pension gets cut. I think Wes Streeting has ruled out getting rid of the loans, so wiping the debt in that way, because clearly he's looked at it and thought, it's just actually not affordable. But pensions, they want to, I mean, heck, you'd be better off working for less now and having a bigger pension, frankly, but it's not how people view it, is it? Anyway, keep your thoughts coming through, gbnews.com/yoursay.
Now, protests are expected as US President Donald Trump arrives in Scotland today for a 4-day visit to the country that his mother hails from.
Well, he's going to travel to the Turnberry Golf Resort and Course. There are currently no plans for him to meet the King, but the White House says the President will meet the Prime Minister to talk about trade.
Our GB News political editor Christopher Hope spoke to Trade Secretary Jonathan Reynolds about the planned protests. Let's take a listen.
So is the left wrong to demonise Trump? He's landing this weekend. I mean, there will be protests. And whatever you think what he says, I mean, he does battle for his country, doesn't he?
There are things I would profoundly disagree with, but I would respect any legitimate leader of a key ally and partner.
Yeah.
And also, I said to people in Parliament, I said a few times, look, I've been offered in Parliament all kinds of advice and in the press of how to deal with this relationship. Most of it terrible, to be honest. I mean, you could play it for politics, like the Liberal Democrats in particular, boycott this, don't talk to the Americans, right? That would have cost tens of thousands of jobs. Jaguar Land Rover supports over 44,000 jobs in the UK, right? So when I see people, it's not that I don't understand legitimate grievances. I really understand how when I look at things, I could have that as well. But I want them to understand why I am going to fight for this country's interests, fight to keep people in work, because you can play it for the politics. At the end of the day, that would be tens of thousands of people from backgrounds like mine, people I went to school with, Nissan factory in Sunderland, who would be, out of work.
Well, let's talk to the chairman for Republicans Overseas UK, Greg Swenson, who's here. Greg, good morning to you. How important do you think this visit is for the president? I mean, yes, he's doing his own private business things and all the rest of it, but as is always the case with this, you're mixing in a fair amount of politics.
Sure. Yeah, I think, having the meeting with Keir Starmer is good use of his time. Obviously he's taking a few days off to play some golf, take a holiday. He deserves it. But yeah, he'll work some business into it as well as some politics. So, good for him.
Is there a risk that politics at home, though, and the Epstein files are going to overshadow this trip?
I don't think so. I mean, look, it's an issue. There's no doubt about it. And I think the Democrats are trying to make it an issue, which is ironic given that they sat on the Epstein files for 4 years and now they've decided it's the most important, government release. But yes, there's definitely some stress on that. But there's a lot of other important things that are going on. And the president, for the most part, has had a really incredible, successful 6 months.
Blaming it on the Democrats isn't going to work, though.
No.
Is it? Because of, thorn in his side, but they're meant to be.
Yeah.
It's his own supporters at the problem.
And that's really, I think, what's driving a lot of the drama right now. And I think that, much of the so-called Epstein files were just overhyped. And I think there's a reason the Democrats didn't release it, during the Biden years. And perhaps, we, the party on the right, hyped it up a little bit too much during the campaign and even early in the administration. So I'm not sure what the ultimate outcome is, whether they just say, OK, let's just release it. And
why not release it? I mean, this is what I don't this is the problem with it all, because as you said in the last hour, if there was anything really juicy in it, the Democrats would have, about Trump, the Democrats would have released it.
Absolutely.
So why not just get it out now? Because the longer they hold on to it, the more the conspiracy grows.
Right. And that the argument is that there is information in there that would be embarrassing for people, but not criminal. So obviously if they've had some, they had the Maxwell trial, they had the preparation at least for Jeffrey Epstein's trial before he committed suicide. So, there's plenty of evidence in the files about those two, but not necessarily about other people that were either involved and of course they want to protect the victims as well. So you can redact the victims' names, of course, but there's family members. There's a lot of stuff in there that could be very difficult to release. On the other hand, they've kind of created the hype here, and so I think the ultimate outcome might just be release it.
You mentioned the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell there. What's going on with the talks between the Deputy Attorney General and Ghislaine Maxwell? Because he's gone to visit her, hasn't he, in prison?
I'm not sure what he could possibly find out that they haven't already inquired about. So, that's a little bit confusing. Maybe there's something that she held back on during her trial, but I don't know. That might be a bit of a decoy to just distract from the demands to get the files released. So they tried to get the grand jury testimony released, and the judge turned it down because it is unusual to release grand jury testimony, and you have to check a few boxes, which the judge decided couldn't be checked. So it's something that this has become a distraction, and ultimately it might just have to be, okay, let's release it, and even take the heat for some of the pushback that they'll get. But they might have to do it.
Right. Away from all of that and away from this visit is, it feels like it's a bit of a test run, doesn't it? Because we've got the state visit coming up before too long, which is in itself historic because it's the second one.
Yeah.
That is going to be quite something, isn't it? I mean, that's going to be something the president will dine out on for a very long time. And frankly, who can blame him?
Right. And look, the last time he had a state visit, it wasn't until 2019, so he'd been in office for 2.5 years. So he came in 2018, about a year before, to have a bit of a test run. This time, the state visit's coming quite quickly in his term. So I think, having the Scotland visit is probably a good idea. And also, I think the family's been planning this for a long time because of the opening of the second golf course. So look, there are definitely some business reasons, but it is nice that he's coming to the UK a few months before the state visit and get his feet wet. As you know, the president's very fond of the UK, especially of Scotland. and really enjoys the relationship. So I think it's going to be an exciting trip this time, but a really exciting trip in September.
OK. Greg, good to see you,
Good to
as
be here.
always. Thank you
you.
very much. Thank you. And it's good news for Scotland as well, isn't it? The opening of a second golf course. It's lots of jobs and investment.
He is meeting John Swinney, the First Minister, because, again, politically, that's very important. Can't get away. Politics might not match up, but, you know, it's all about the Wonga at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Is the weather going to be nice for the President, or indeed for you, wherever you are? Let's get the details from Alex.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Bit of a switch around with the weather today. Some places having some pretty warm sunshine. In the west, where we saw a fair bit of sunshine yesterday, there's more cloud around, and it's a bit of a damp start for western Scotland, parts of Northern Ireland too. After some rain yesterday, it's dangling in the southeast, looking much brighter today with some good spells of sunshine. The cloud and drizzly rain will spread through the central belt of Scotland into parts of northwest England, maybe West Wales, seeing a splash or two of light drizzly rain by this afternoon. But a good part of England and Wales will be dry and quite warm in this central zone over the Midlands down to parts of southeast Wales, temperatures getting into the mid-20s. Skies brightening for the afternoon over western Scotland and Northern Ireland. Slightly fresher feel here, but still some sunny spells. Just a few showers coming into the Highlands and the Western Isles. Some patchy rain over eastern Scotland into the late afternoon, but should clear away through the evening. Should any rain through the central belt, so turning fine and dry here and mostly fine to end the day across Northern Ireland. Some thicker cloud edging into Wales, southwest England, the odd little bit of rain here and there. Much of the Midlands, East Anglia, the southeast staying fine through this evening and still quite warm here also. Any of that rain tending to fizzle out as this band of cloud drifts its way from west to east across England and Wales. All the while tonight, a few showers will brush in on the brisk breeze across the far northwest as temperatures drop down into the low mid-teens in some places. On to the start of the weekend. It will be a fairly cloudy start, I suspect, across a good chunk of England and Wales. A bit of uncertainty about where we see the showers on Saturday. There is the potential, and it is just that, the threat of one or two heavy showers over East Anglia and the southeast, especially through the afternoon. For the Midlands, Northern England, southern Scotland, a scattering of showers. Quite a few showers again in the far northwest, but many areas will be dry on Saturday. We'll see some sunshine, not quite as warm, but temperatures close to average, high teens, low 20s.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now it's the final week to see how you could become £54,321 richer. It's our biggest cash giveaway to date. Just 1 week left. Lines close next Friday. So here are all of the details that you need.
It's the final week to see how you could win big. It's our biggest cash prize to date, an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. What would you do with that? With all of that cash, you could just chill out, treat yourself and indulge in the finer things in life, somewhere like here, Downhall Hotel and Spa. You really could win the cash giveaway of the summer. Make sure you don't miss out on our biggest cash giveaway to date.
For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
7:23. Now, talks between the US Deputy Attorney General and Ghislaine Maxwell and her lawyers have been described as productive. Comes amid growing pressure on the Trump administration, as we were just talking about to Greg, to release the Epstein files. Maxwell, that long-time associate of Jeffrey Epstein, is serving a 20-year sentence for sex trafficking. The White House has denied claims that President Trump's name appears on documents relating to the late convicted sex offender.
President Emmanuel Macron has announced that France will recognise a Palestinian state in September, becoming the first G7 nation to do so. The decision, to be formalised at the UN, aims to push for a Gaza ceasefire and for peace. Palestinian officials welcomed the move, but Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu has condemned it as rewarding terror.
And President Trump has paid tribute to wrestling legend Hulk Hogan, who's died at the age of 71. He transformed a niche sport into global entertainment. He went on to star in Hollywood films before becoming a vocal supporter of the MAGA movement. He apparently had a cardiac arrest at home in Florida. Donald Trump said he'd lost a great friend, strong, tough, smart, but with the biggest heart.
Now, still to come, do stay with us. As a survey shows that sewing and needlework are dying out in Britain, we're asking, should domestic skills be taught in schools? Let us know what you think. That's next.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
It's 7:28 now. Traditional domestic skills like sewing, darning, crochet, quickly fading, with very few people today confident in using a sewing machine or even just knitting.
Well, a survey by Good Housekeeping has revealed that I know there's so many fruit flies in this studio you do not understand. I told you, you didn't see them in the last hour, did you? They're everywhere.
Now they're everywhere.
Anyway, a survey by Good Housekeeping has revealed that these skills are among the least practiced and the least likely to be passed on, while tasks like ironing and cooking remain common. You like both those things, actually.
What, ironing and cooking?
Yeah.
I like cooking, I hate ironing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I like sewing. And I'm quite good as well.
Excuse me, this is dreadful. Let's talk to head teacher Christine Cunliffe and political commentator Kane Blackwell. Morning, you two. Christine, what do you think about these sort of skills? Forgive me and the flies in here. Should we be doing more of this sort of thing in schools?
I'm not so sure about the darning. I mean, you're not going to find me darning socks, not now. I mean, things have moved a little bit, but there's great mileage and things in knowing how to boil an egg, for example, because food's expensive. And I think, there's a lot to be said for knowing how to cook as young people moving on to university. Knitting's a great pastime. I wouldn't be putting it on the curriculum, but we do it as an extracurricular activity. So there's the balance there. We've got to remember the world has moved on. We've just got to know how to look after ourselves, including how to clean up, especially when you get fruit flies in the studio like that.
Yes, exactly.
How to make a fly trap. Yeah, that would be useful and practical. Kane, what do you think?
Well, good morning. I think teachers are already under enormous pressure to cover the subjects like English, maths and science, and I think adding anything extra to the curriculum is just going to be unfair on teachers, it's going to be unfair on pupils. But also, I think if we're going to be adding new skills to the curriculum, life skills to the curriculum, we should be focusing on things that are more applicable to the modern age. Things like, how to get a mortgage and, taxes, budgeting, car insurance, all these things that young people are going to be looking at very, very soon in their lives. So,
hold on, Kane. Do young people's buttons not fall off? What did you do last time? What did you do last time a button fell off your trousers? I bet you went round to your mum's and said, "Could you sew it on for me?"
Well, yeah, I mean, I probably did, but no, I agree that there are certain skills that are really important, and I think things like sewing are needed and important, but I don't think it should be necessary in the curriculum. That's the difference. I think, putting on extra curriculum activities and other things like that, if people want to learn those skills, then of course, yeah, go to classes and other things like that, and it should be encouraged, but I don't think it should be necessary.
Christine?
Well, one of the things that really gets me, if I'm really honest, we're talking about sewing on buttons, because that is a great skill, and I learned that at school, and I teach my children as well to do that, is how to iron a shirt as well, because one of my big bugbears is when gentlemen and ladies take their jacket off sometimes, the front's ironed, but the back isn't.
Oh.
And that really does get me.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of this stuff. What I don't understand, Christine, and maybe Kane's got a point in saying, well, should it all be taught at schools? I mean, it used to be passed down at home. And obviously that's going now as well, because, I mean, I guess the parents don't know how to do it either.
Yeah, there is that. And I think, when I was growing up, it was something that my mum taught me how to do. And I think you can do it as part of the extracurricular. Children are going off to university, they're going to be leaving home. They need to know sometimes, and this sounds really patronising, but how to put a washing machine on. Sometimes it defaults onto a temperature that's too high. And these things will cost money and angst in the future. So, it doesn't cost us anything to give kids a couple of hours over a term to look at those basic things about how we need to live and survive.
I mean,
parents should be doing that.
Kane, you think about some of the things that we study at school, like Pythagoras' theorem in maths. I mean, you've learnt it, you've done it once, and you don't touch it again. Whereas something like learning how to iron or sewing up a hole in your trousers or something, you'd use that in your daily life for the rest of your life. I mean, surely that's a better use of school time.
I mean, look, I don't disagree with you about Pythagoras' theorem and all that sort of stuff. I mean, this person's got 10 cans of paint, and it's gonna how long is it going to take them to paint the wall or whatever it is? I just think just go down to Wickes and get some paint, and if you run out of many more, go back and get some more. That was always my thing. But look, I wasn't very good at maths at school, so that was just me. But look, I do think that it is important that people learn those life skills. But I do really think about financial education and things like taxes and mortgages and all of those things, because I sit here and I'm 26 now, and I think we were never taught anything like this. We were never told anything like that. And I do think it's really important because, snap your fingers and you're here when you were in school not that long ago. And
well, Yeah, but you'd be no good at doing taxes if you can't do any mental arithmetic, which is what all these other things are about, Kane Blackwell.
But that's what I'm saying. We need to focus on maths and science and English rather than things like crochet and sewing, which are lovely things to do, but they're not essential.
I despair. Kane Blackwell. Christine Cunniff, good to see you both this morning. Thank you very much indeed. You've got to have a wider career. I have to say, I was taught at school, we did sewing and we did knitting. I made a pencil case thing with a, you know, I mean, and have I used it much since? No, but I can sew on a button. I've forgotten how to knit, I've got to be honest.
Yeah. See, I think...
But it's a good skill.
Yeah, I mean, we learnt how to make bread. Cakes, buns,
we did all of that.
And I learnt how to sew on a button and things like that, and I use it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm always sewing, always getting out my sewing kit and sorting out buttons or hems or whatever it means to be.
And oddly enough,
very useful.
For those people who say, oh, well, yeah, I don't know why you're doing that, it's one thing they're taught in the army is how to sew.
Yeah.
How to sew, how to stitch, because they have to look after their own uniforms, they have to get it all on.
Well, it's a life skill, isn't it? It's a life skill. Maybe it should be taught at home, but perhaps it should be taught in schools as well. Let us know what you think. gbnews.com/you'll say.
Right, Paul's going to be here with all your sport in just a moment.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Road users should know access to the A723 from the M74 southbound at Junction 6 is restricted due to planned maintenance. A diversion route is marked and extra travel time is advisable. Additionally, the M4 eastbound between Junction 45 Winnisforgan and Junction 44 Lonlas remains closed for carriageway work, with diversions in place. Meanwhile, in Derbyshire, congestion on the A38 southbound is easing between the A610 and A61 Derby. And on the trains, stay updated on delays across the Elizabeth line and Hull trains due to industrial action. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there short and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lionesses' Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back. It's time to go for
One of you.
Paul Coit is here
The
with
silence
us.
was unbearable.
It's tension building up.
It really is.
Well, there's tension building for Sunday.
Well, very
Euros
good.
Final.
Very good. England versus Spain then in the Euros. I've just been looking through some of the games in the past to try and give me some
bit of a
background
feel
here.
for it, yeah.
So in June, Spain beat England 2-1. In February, England won 1-0, which was at Wembley. August 23, that's when the World Cup final was, which, of course, we know Spain won.
Yeah, but what? By what?
Well, it was only 1. It was only 1-0, but they did dominate.
Yeah.
July 22, and by the way, I'm going back 50 years, so bear with me. July 22, England won 2-1, and then February 22, 0-0, which, if you've been keeping tally, that works out 2 each over the last 5 years.
So what to play for.
So, Kira Walsh, one of our finest players, played in Barcelona. Well, let's hear from Kira. This is what she says about playing and whether we can do it and whether the World Cup will play on their minds. It's Kira Walsh.
Obviously, that was a massive disappointment, and I feel like from a collective, we probably feel like we didn't have our best performance that day. But I think as a football player, you can become too emotional, and I think if you're trying to pull on that too much, then you're going to be, too emotional and too many things going on. And I think for us, it's a new game, new team, and we know what we're bringing this tournament, so we're going to keep doing that, and just focus on the positives and not try and draw on that too much.
It's difficult for always in situations like that for players because they'll get asked the same questions.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Same questions. How do you think it's going to go? Do you take positives out of that? It's always the same. So they've just got to come out with the same stuff.
It's all about building the momentum.
It's exactly who on earth would talk about momentum, for crying out loud, but it's about momentum. Right, cricket, day 3 today of the 4th test, England versus India, looking very good at the moment. Jack Crawley and Ben Duckett, opening stand of 166. So to cut a very long story short, could go through the whole thing, which would take some time. 225 for 2, England. 133 runs behind, 8 wickets still standing. So I'm very confident about this. So it'll be a great result if we can beat India. So that carries on today.
Should we talk about Emma Raducanu?
Shall we?
Yeah, powerful. She's looking powerful.
Do you know how many years ago it was that she won the
3
US Open?
years?
27 years ago.
Is it about 4 or 5? 4.
Yeah, 4 years ago.
Is it 4 years?
4 years now. She was 19.
God.
She's almost a veteran now, Ellie. That's what it is.
No, don't be mean.
What? No, that's not mean.
It's not mean.
You're just expecting me to be mean, but I'm not being mean.
She's only a baby.
No,
she's still got time.
She's back to British #1.
Yeah.
She's playing in the DC Open in Washington, surprise, surprise, because the US Open at Flushing Meadow, that's about 3 weeks away. Beat the former world #1.
She's looking good for the US Open then, isn't she?
Well, 4-time Grand Slam winner Naomi Osaka. She beat. There we are. This when she was playing at Wimbledon. So. You know what? We will see how things go. US Open. You tell me. What do you think?
I think it's a good time to be back at her peak.
It would be, but how far is she going to go?
Very far.
3rd round.
Third round.
She'll get there.
To where? Come on. Put your money where your mouth is.
She's going to win. She's going to win.
She's going to win.
Come on, you've got to have hope.
Okay.
She's going to win.
5 each way.
Okay, I'll take your money for that one.
Yeah.
And finally, I want to mention the rugby as well. British Irish Lions play tomorrow, playing Australia at the MCG, Melbourne Cricket Grounds. There's going to be like 80,000 people there. Second test against Australia. It was very easy last time. They're 1 up, 7 games, 7 wins so far on the tour. And also, it's Owen Farrell, and Andy Farrell is the coach, and Owen Farrell's been brought in, who's his son. It's got to be tricky, right?
Yeah.
Whether you pick your son or whether you drop your son. Because sometimes you would think you would go more the other way to show that there's no favouritism. But he's on the bench, Owen. But I do want to mention Henry Pollock. Now, being the youngest player, have a look at this.
He's 20, isn't he?
Well, this is what he has to do, and this is what happens at every Lions tour. The youngest player has to look after the toy lion. See, that's what he's got on his back.
That's quite
what
cute.
It's a very big toy lion.
It's called Bill. It is a very big toy lion. So there's Bill, and he's carrying Bill there, and that's the rule, is that if you're on the tour, so he's only 20, he has to carry Bill the lion wherever he goes.
Oh, well, the kids love it, don't they?
At all times.
Well, that's a bit
Even when he's playing in the game, he's got to keep the lion on his back.
It's a bit of a pain, isn't it?
But no, the captain always brings the lion out for when they shake hands, the toss of the coin, etc. But anywhere else, it's down to Henry to carry the lion around.
Oh, he'll be desperate for some of the younger players to join.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? Think,
Poor
oh,
lad.
God, it's probably quite fun in the first 5 minutes, and it's like, oh, for crying out loud. But there we are, so the game is early tomorrow morning.
All right, lovely. Paul, thank you.
Thank you. Guy Lems joins us, by the way, in the next hour.
Oh, look forward to
Lovely.
that.
Well, do stay with us. Still to come, we'll be going through the papers with Theo Usherwood and Charlotte Griffiths. But first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, it's the hottest time of the year over the eastern Mediterranean, but even so, temperatures are going to be 5 to 10 degrees above average through Cyprus and parts of Turkey inland. Temperatures could get into the mid-40s. Not hot, though, across central and western parts of the Med, with quite a few outbreaks of showery rain spreading south across Italy. Largely fine and sunny for Spain and Portugal. Plenty of sunshine in the Canaries, and temperatures also rising in Tenerife into next week, getting into the mid-30s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
French authorities first seized the Lady T, and that's an Eastbourne-based fishing vessel. And next, they fined its skipper, Philip Edwards, €30,000 to release his boat. Now, the Lady T, operating legally under UK jurisdiction, was intercepted by a French patrol ship near the Somme Bay. Now, the incident has sparked massive outrage among British fishermen and is renewing calls for the government to stand firm against French overreach in national waters. Well, I'm delighted to say I'm now joining with Charlotte Edwards, who's the husband. Husband Philip is the skipper of the Lady T and is out fishing right now. Charlotte, welcome to the show. I've got to say, here at GB News, we are hugely supportive and appreciative of British fishermen and fisherwomen. Do a fantastic job. So if you're nervous about the interview, please don't be. I want to ask you how on earth this happened. I mean, there's been a lot of talk, for example, that the Lady T didn't have the correct paperwork, it was fishing illegally, and the French decided to pounce. What's the reality?
The paperwork just slipped through. It was an admin error. The other two boats had the permits, and unfortunately, his didn't at the time. He wasn't in as far in as they said he was. He was about 800 metres in their water. He wasn't near the 12-mile.
He was intercepted by the Pluvier. That's a French Navy ship. By the way, the sort of French Navy ships that just seem to give an escort to illegal dinghies coming into British waters, suddenly pouncing into action. The only boat they've managed to stop seems to be the Lady T.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Right, let's go through the papers with political commentator Theo Usherwood and editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths. Morning, you two. Charlotte, what's this in the Mail about a migrant hotel?
Well, so I'd never heard this expression before. It's called SAM, Single Adult Male Hotel, SAM Hotels. And there's a hotel in Suffolk, called the Park Hotel. And it houses families, it houses migrant families, and there are some of those. There are about 47 of them there. And they've had a letter from the Home Office saying, no, you need to become a SAM hotel, single adult male hotel. And they're saying, no, we're not going to do it. We don't want, 200 or 300 men in this hotel, and they're worried about their community. It's the same story again. Before they had 46 children and 34 adults, women mainly. They're being asked to replace those with just men.
Yeah. Which is, well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, I mean, that is rightly or wrongly, that's a concern, Theo. All these young, single men in a community is what's upsetting a lot of people.
That's the pressure point, isn't it? And, of course, if you think back to what has caused the protests in Epping, and there's a front page photograph leading it on the Telegraph today with a story from the police commissioner saying that he's demanding that migrants are removed from the hotel following days of protests. But when we think back, what was the trigger for this? It was after a 14-year-old schoolgirl was sexually assaulted in the High Street, allegedly. Now, Ben Julian Harrington, the Chief Constable, in the week said, the police have taken action, the individual has been arrested. There'll obviously be criminal proceedings, which cannot be prejudiced, and this individual has been remanded in custody. But this is what is causing. This is what is causing the particular concern in communities.
I'd also like to know what they're going to do with the children and women who are being housed in this hotel. Where are they going to go? They're all going to get chucked out. I guess they're less of a priority for the Home Office.
Must be somewhere for them to go.
Of course, they'll be housed perhaps also in the community. But it's just interesting that they seem to be prioritising single adult men because there are so many of them.
Yeah.
Theo, let's have a look, sticking with the Daily Mail, actually. This is Wes Streeting saying, I won't cave in to militant doctors.
Yeah, Wes Streeting's done an interview with the Mails insisting that he's sticking to his guns. With the last 25 minutes or so, we've had the strikes have started. They're going to last through till next Wednesday with the resident junior doctors, 50,000 walking out. It's going to mean huge disruption, inevitably. I know that the boss of NHS England has urged hospital bosses across the country to try and keep services running, but consultants aren't going to be able to meet demand, and there's going to be a huge backlog as a result. For Keir Starmer, for Wes Streeting, this was predictable. They decided to hand the junior doctors a 22% pay rise last year. They didn't put any provisos on that bumper pay deal, and the prediction was that having given them one pay rise, the junior doctors would come back for another one, and now they're coming back for a 29% pay rise, and there isn't any money to pay it, and so inevitably they're going, after a moment when they thought they might be able to negotiate something on terms and conditions, Wes Streeting is now saying that the BMA is either held those negotiations and they were misleading the government, or they're too weak to cajole the junior doctor, the junior doctors wing, the resident doctors wing, into supporting the a stand down. But that's not going to happen.
I'm surprised, Charlotte, that the BMA has been quite so militant on such a high figure.
Yeah, I think Wes is a little bit guilty of being naive. First of all, to say, look, I've given you this huge pay rise, that'll keep you quiet for the next 5 years. Of course, that didn't happen. And they are being very militant. And I think what he's trying to do, especially by speaking to the Mail, is give this sort of Thatcherite air of, I'm not going to crack, I'm not going to bend. But we already know that he's been naive and foolish before for thinking that was it, and that they wouldn't come back asking for more favours. So I'm kind of unconvinced by his rhetoric.
We're talking about an average starting salary of £38,000 is the sort of benchmark at where they are right now. OK, it's not 2008 levels, but the public finances are not in the same position that they were before the financial crash.
No.
And so I think for many people coming out of...
Also, it's worth bearing in mind, these people were not in this role in 2008. Most of them were probably still at school. In 2008.
It's this narrative about how it's no longer a vacation. These younger ones that were, as you say, in school in 2008, they're a bit more self-interested than perhaps when we were growing up. Doctors were a bit more altruistic.
Yeah. Shall we have a quick look at social media, Charlotte, in the Telegraph this morning? We're going to be talking to Peter Kyle, the Technology Secretary, but amongst the things he's looking at is banning anyone under 13 from social media.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a fantastic idea. I have to say, I already thought it was the case.
Yeah, I was about to say that, yeah.
But thank goodness it is now. I actually think they should raise that to 16.
Yeah.
The only problem is 16-year-olds can vote. So, but actually, I think it'd be a good thing because there'll be less influence. So I've been influenced by my algorithm, probably negatively, for years now. It'd be quite interesting to get a 16-year-old who's only been on social media for 3 years, see if they're a bit more open-minded about how they vote. But maybe that's by the by. I actually think 13 is too young. I think they could do it another 3 years. They could push it another 3 years. It was so unbelievably damaging to your health as a teenager. And don't forget, those 13 to 18, those are the years where you're kind of rebelling and you're confused about your identity and you're going through all those crazy hormonal changes. The last thing you want to do is have horrible stuff at you, on social media directed at you.
But also for adults as well. I went to a party a few weeks ago and actually I just left after half an hour because everybody just sat on their phones looking at clips.
Really?
Yeah, just everybody's addicted to their phone. I was just like, what's the point of being?
Phones at lunch.
What is the point of being?
As well.
I don't think it's rude. I just think they're addicted. These videos are just addicted. And they're just, people are just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. I gave up. There was no point. There was genuinely no point in being there, and I just think we need more education and trying to, about the. Sorry.
Got to stop you. Thank you both. See you later.
Let's have a look at the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers. Sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Bit of a switch around with the weather today. Some places having some pretty warm sunshine. But in the west, where we saw a fair bit of sunshine yesterday, there's more cloud around and it's a bit of a damp start for western Scotland, parts of Northern Ireland too. After some rain yesterday, East Anglia in the southeast looking much brighter today with some good spells of sunshine. The cloud and drizzly rain will spread through the central belt of Scotland into parts of northwest England. Maybe West Wales seeing a splash or two of light drizzly rain by this afternoon. But a good part of England and Wales will be dry and quite warm in this central zone over the Midlands down to parts of southeast Wales. Temperatures getting into the mid-20s. Skies brightening for the afternoon over western Scotland and Northern Ireland. Slightly fresher feel here, but still some sunny spells. Just a few showers coming into the Highlands and the Western Isles. Some patchy rain over eastern Scotland into the late afternoon, but should clear away through the evening. Should any rain through the central belt, so turning fine and dry here and mostly fine to end the day across Northern Ireland. Some thicker cloud edging into Wales, southwest England, the odd little bit of rain here and there. Much of the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast staying fine through this evening and still quite warm here also. Any of that rain tending to fizzle out as this band of cloud drifts its way from west to east across England and Wales. All the while tonight, a few showers will brush in on the brisk breeze across the far northwest as temperatures drop down into the low mid-teens in some places. On to the start of the weekend. It will be a fairly cloudy start, I suspect, across a good chunk of England and Wales. A bit of uncertainty about where we see the showers on Saturday. There is the potential, and it is just that, the threat of 1 or 2 heavy showers over East Anglia and the southeast, especially through the afternoon. For the Midlands, Northern England, southern Scotland, a scattering of showers. Quite a few showers again in the far northwest, but many areas will be dry on Saturday. We'll see some sunshine, not quite as warm, but temperatures close to average, high teens, low 20s.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Currently, the M4 eastbound is closed between Junction 45, Winnis-Forgan, and Junction 44 due to planned maintenance with diversions. Drivers on Warwickshire's M69 southbound should expect congestion. Conditions are anticipated to improve by 9 minutes past 8, with 20-minute delays. In Plymouth, a broken-down vehicle on the A38 eastbound has led to one-lane closure, with traffic expected to normalise around 8:15. And on the trains, disruptions on the cross-country line and reduced service on the Elizabeth line are reported. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's the final week to see how you can win big, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? The holiday of a lifetime? Or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? Lines close on the 1st of August, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Prime Minister makes a last-minute plea with junior doctors to try to halt the strike.
Keir Starmer is warning it puts patients at risk and plays into the hands of those who want the NHS to fail.
But the unions are digging in. So will this standoff sink the health service?
Britain's shoplifting epidemic surges to a record high, with thefts rising by 20% in a year. It comes as the government announced tough Texas-style courts to be rolled out across the country.
The Epping Police Commissioner tells the government to stop sending migrants to unsuitable hotels to avoid fuelling community tension. It comes as councillors demand asylum centres are closed amid fears of a summer of unrest.
Donald Trump heads to Scotland today. The US president will make a 4-day visit to his golf resort in Ayrshire. Although the trip is being described by the White House as a private visit, he is going to meet with Keir Starmer.
Well, is it Trumpapalooza or Trumpageddon? Well, depending who you ask around Scotland, views may certainly differ. But Donald Trump is certainly due to arrive this evening to enjoy 4 days here in Scotland.
A senior Justice Department official has met with Jeffrey Epstein's longtime associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, as pressure grows on the Trump administration to release files linked to the disgraced financier's sex trafficking network.
Tributes pour in for the wrestling legend Hulk Hogan, who has died aged 71.
And as a survey shows that sewing and needlework are dying out in Britain, we're asking, should domestic skills be taught in school?
And in sport this morning, Alexander Isak has said that he wants to leave Newcastle United, with Liverpool ready to pounce. Very good day for England in the 4th test against India yesterday. Currently 133 runs behind, with 8 first innings wickets remaining. And England take on Spain in the Euros final on Sunday. We'll look back to the lost Lionesses, 1970.
Bit of a switch around with the weather today. If you were dull and damp yesterday, chances are you'll see some warm sunshine today. And if you had some sunny spells yesterday, greater chance of a little bit of rain today. If you can't remember what weather you had yesterday, then join me later for a full forecast.
Just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Right, should we crack straight on with politics this morning? Because there's quite a lot to get through this morning, and we're joined by the Shadow Business Minister, Dame Harriet Baldwin. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Stephen.
Can we start with this doctors' strike, which is about to kick off today, and there's been no movement from the unions on this? What do you make of the government's approach? Because you've got to say, haven't you, that the Health Secretary is playing pretty hardball on this?
Well, we did warn last summer when he settled the strike by just giving in to the union's demands that they would be back for more. And I'm afraid this does show that we are back to square one. I think that the doctors are being very unreasonable here, and I think that it is wrong for them to go on strike. The Health Secretary, who I think is saying all the right things, is offering 5.4% to striking doctors. So it would be good to see them back around the negotiating table on some of the other sort of non-salary related issues. They got a big pay rise last year. 5.4% is probably more than most of your viewers are getting this year. And I think it's important that we put patients absolutely at the heart of the NHS, and that it's wrong that the doctors have gone on strike.
Can I ask you about the front page of The Telegraph this morning? Farms are closing at a record rate after the inheritance tax raid announced by Rachel Reeves last October. Over 6,000 have closed, around 3,000 have opened up. It's not good figures. What's your response to that story?
Well, we have said very clearly that we think this is the wrong tax and that we would repeal it if we were elected to power. I think it's something that is incredibly damaging for our food security. If you think about it, how important it is that we have the ability to grow our own food. The family farm is the way that not only does that land pass down through the generations, but it's also how those skills to actually farm the land pass down through the generations. And by putting in place this family farm tax, it means that at every change of generation, 20% of the farm effectively has to be sold in order to pay the inheritance tax, and something that's clearly going to undermine our food security. So we do urge the Chancellor to rethink that.
Well, it's not just farms, is it, as well? It's family businesses as well.
Absolutely right.
And the problem with that is, of course, as we keep saying, whenever we're in financial troubles, it's the small businesses, the SMEs that bring about the green shoots of recovery, something which just is being stifled at the moment. So, I mean, what would be the Conservative strategy for growth in our current economy?
Yeah, our strategy is very different from the current government's strategy. First of all, we don't think you should be taxing family businesses in the way that the Chancellor is proposing. We think you should back those who make our economy, who are the businesses and the small businesses. They need to be backed through the tax system, because that's how you get that growth. As you rightly point out, this is something that in every recovery, it's always small businesses that are at the forefront of creating that growth. And I think what the Labour government doesn't seem to realise is that in order to have a successful growing economy, you need to motivate, influence and try and incentivise the growth creators, both those who want to bring investment into this country, but also those who are here, who are the family businesses that create the jobs, that create the prosperity, and that throws off the tax revenue that all of us rely on to pay for our public services. So it's completely the wrong approach, and it's very sad to see that everything we predicted in terms of business closures, payroll reductions, farms closing is actually happening. It's really painful for this country, and I do urge the government to see the folly of their ways and to reverse course.
What's your response to the scenes that we've seen in Epping and Canary Wharf in recent days? Obviously, community tensions there over these migrant hotels. Fears as well about a summer of riots. Are you confident that the government and the police can prevent this?
Well, I think the British public are sick of seeing all these illegal immigrants arriving on our shores. There have been a record number who have arrived in the first 6 months of this year, and they're all having to be accommodated. And we think it's very regrettable that the government cancelled our approach, which was to have a safe third country, Rwanda, where we could take people who'd arrived here illegally and assess their claims. And it's really a great shame that the government haven't adopted our draft deportation bill. So we've published a bill that would allow us to disapply the human rights in these immigration cases to make sure that we were able to deport the foreign criminals from our prisons. And we think that there's more that the government could be doing to deter illegal arrivals in our country, which are having to be accommodated in ridiculous places and 4-star hotels, and people are being given these cards, and people are gambling using these cards, and it's extraordinary that we found ourselves in this position.
When you say disapply the Human Rights Act, how does that tie in with the ECHR? I mean, is that a workaround, or do we still need to come out of the ECHR? Would it still cause problems?
Well, as you know, Kemi Badenoch, our new leader, has commissioned some work on exactly how we implement that, and I'm expecting to hear further information on that in due course. But we do think that there's more that could be done to disapply aspects of that, particularly in some of these cases, and that's all set out in the draft deportation bill that we've given to Parliament, we've given to the government, and we urge them to move forward in that, because I think the British public can, just don't want to see all these town centre hotels taken over to house illegal immigrants.
President Macron announced last night that France is going to formally recognise a Palestinian state in September. Do you think that Britain should follow suit?
It's been long-standing policy of the UK government of all stripes to work towards an outcome where there are two states, where there is a state of Israel and a state of Palestine. The problem is that Hamas are hell-bent on destroying the state of Israel. So it doesn't feel like it would be possible to come to a sustainable peace by unilaterally recognising the state of Palestine. So it seems the wrong moment. This has got to be a destination, but the journey has got to include Palestinian recognition of the right of Israel to exist, rather than seeking to destroy it and to kill the population of Israel. So it's not something that should be done unilaterally at this moment. It would be a reward for the very evil behaviour of Hamas on the 7th of October.
Just before we let you go, because we've thrown everything in the kitchen sink at you this morning, which we're very grateful that you've responded so well and so calmly to all of that. Can I take you back slightly just to business and growth? And where we are in this country now. Because, as you say, you were talking earlier on about wealth providers and how we need to nurture all of that, the small businesses and the farms and all the rest of it. How do you tackle all of that? And how does the Labour government tackle all of that, when a lot of people will turn around and say, we are all struggling at the moment, people at the bottom end of the scale really feeling it, and it would be seen as rewarding the rich? Because it's always seen like that you're rewarding the rich and not the poor. How do you begin to tackle that as an issue to bring growth back to the economy?
Well, my view is that we all want to see growth in our economy, want to see a prosperous economy. That's something cross-party everyone can agree on. And prosperity does mean that you will have a success in terms of investment in businesses. I think that's something that then would attract a fair level of taxation. I think where things go wrong is where taxation policy is set in such a way that actually is a disincentive to investment and a disincentive to growth. And I'm afraid, what I would say to the Chancellor is that some of the measures that she put in place in last year's extraordinary Halloween budget, which increased taxes more than has ever been seen before in any budget of any Chancellor, is a quite extraordinary amount of taxation that she raised, and it was all on the wealth creators. And we're seeing, unfortunately, that we're all becoming poorer as a result, including, those who are seeking work, those who are trying to get on the employment ladder. They're the ones who are suffering the most. So it's really a lose-lose in terms of the budget measures that the Chancellor put in place, and we urge her to change course in this year's budget.
OK, Dame Harriet Baldwin, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
Interesting.
James Price, former Conservative advisor, is here with us. What do you make there of what Dame Harriet was saying?
I thought she was very, very impressive. It's increasingly rare to see MPs who you can throw questions at on the economy and on foreign policy and all the rest, and actually come out with a substantive set of answers. I think.
Oh yeah, she could bat them all off, which is impressive.
Yeah.
But I think that last crucial point about prosperity, I think, is really, really important. We've talked before about how the fact that Britain is just not a very rich country anymore. When you're not a rich country anymore, things start to feel zero-sum, meaning that you're not going to be able to fix the NHS problems, you're not able to fix defence, we need to spend a lot more on that, and all these sorts of issues. And I think it was Winston Churchill who said that trying to tax your way to prosperity, as Rachel Reeves has done, is like standing in a bucket and trying to pull yourself up by the handle. It's just not going to work. The tax burden is as high as it's ever been, and it's only going to get worse. It's not the way to fix things here.
OK, James, do stay with us. You're going to be talking to us about doctors' strikes a little bit later on in the programme.
Now, protests are expected as President Trump arrives in Scotland today for a 4-day visit to the country that his mother hailed from.
Well, he's going to travel to the Turnberry Golf Resort and course at many, but there are currently no plans for the president to meet the King. The White House says the president will meet the Prime Minister to discuss trade while he's in the UK.
Well, our political editor, Christopher Hope, spoke to the Trade Secretary, Jonathan Reynolds, about the protests which are planned to go ahead.
So is the left wrong to demonise Trump? He's landing this weekend. I mean, there will be protests. And whatever you think what he says, I mean, he does battle for his country, doesn't he?
There are things I would profoundly disagree with, but I would respect any legitimate leader of a key ally and partner.
Yeah.
And also, I said to people in Parliament, I've said a few times, look, I've been offered in Parliament all kinds of advice and in the press of how to deal with this relationship. Most of it terrible, to be honest. I mean, you could play it for politics, like the Liberal Democrats in particular, boycott this, don't talk to the Americans, right? That would have cost tens of thousands of jobs. Jaguar Land Rover supports over 44,000 jobs in the UK, right? So when I see people, it's not that I don't understand legitimate grievances. I really understand how when I look at things, I could have that as well. But I want them to understand why I am going to fight for this country's interests, fight to keep people in work, because you can play it for the politics. At the end of the day, that would be tens of thousands of people from backgrounds like mine, people I went to school with, Nissan factory in Sunderland, who would be, out of work.
Well, GB News reporter Tony Maguire joins us now. Good to see you, Tony. In just a few hours now until President Trump arrives in Scotland.
Fine, perfect.
Yes, you're right. Certainly, we're looking at around, probably about half a day, give or take, to we see President Trump arrive on Air Force One, and we know he's going to be greeted off of the plane by Scottish Secretary Ian Murray as this kind of start to the pageantry over the next 5 days. And we heard there how President Trump is going to also be meeting Keir Starmer along with Scottish First Minister John Swinney. John Swinney saying that while he disagrees with President Trump on a number of key policy issues, if not most of them, to be frank, he sees it as being in Scotland's best interest to put his best foot forward and sit down with the President so that he can discuss matters which he feels are important to him and important to Scotland, such as the war in Ukraine, the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Gaza, and of course tariffs, with Scotch whisky and Scottish salmon being two of the biggest food and drink exports to between the UK and America. Now, this is going to be quite a sensational trip for Donald Trump. He does have those close links to Scotland. He has huge amount of love for the country. He's going to be taking a few days here in Ayrshire. Now, I'm just in the town of Maidens. I'm essentially at the other end of those barriers that I spoke to you from yesterday, about a quarter mile from the Turnberry Resort. And all around this resort are these little towns, and it's places like here that you'll find opinions on this visit very much split. A lot of people recognise the huge investment that Donald Trump has pumped into Scotland in these two kind of world-class golfing resorts. Both this one and the one up in the Many Estate in Aberdeen sunk hundreds of millions of pounds combined into them, bringing thousands of jobs to these two local economies. And yet, of course, at the other end of the scale, there's those people who would rather not see a presidential visit, who have issues with the amount of taxpayers' money that would be spent protecting the area. Yesterday we saw huge amounts of security. We saw sweeps being done in tandem by the army and the police, snipers' nests erected at the corners of the course, and certainly security here for the President, not messing about, going to be a big weekend for Scotland.
It will be, Tony. Thank you very much.
Right, at very nearly 18 minutes past 8, let's have a look at the weather for you with Alex Deakin. Oh, we haven't got the weather. Oh, you'll have to wait.
Yeah.
Should we go to a break? We can't go to a break. I don't know. It's all going slightly pear-shaped.
We also have some good news, though.
What is?
James Price is here.
Thank heavens he didn't move.
To talk about the doctor's strike. Thank heavens you didn't move.
I can talk about the weather as well. If you want.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
going to be lovely today.
Oh, yeah, right.
So junior doctors, or resident doctors, as we should call them now, started strike action at 7 a.m. this morning. What do you make of it?
The junior doctors. I love that you've insisted on calling them that all morning so far. I can't see a way in which the Hippocratic oath, this is idea to do no harm, and you're not supposed to do wrong, and it goes all the way back to Hippocrates from 2500 BC, and that oath that doctors have been made to take for a very long time is compatible with deciding you're not going to bother to turn up to work when people need it. Of course, in previous strikes, what they've been able to do actually is to go back in again and work at a kind of locum rate and line their pockets even further, which Wes Streeting rightly says they're not going to be able to do today. And it's fun with a bit of what the Germans would call Schadenfreude to be able to see these sorts of guys getting a taste of their own medicine with Labour this time round, having to be the bad guys.
What I don't quite understand is Wes Streeting saying if they go ahead with this, they will hurt themselves. They will damage themselves as a result. I mean, whether that's true or not, it is interesting that there's a slight threatening tone to it.
Yeah, well, and good. I mean, it's wonderful to see people having to come back to reality in real time, which is what Wes Streeting is doing, if not the rest of the Labour Party. They came into power, almost the first thing they did was to give every trade union who wanted a load more money all the demands they wanted. But as we've learned for a very long time on this island, if you pay the Dane Geld, you never get rid of the Dane. You keep trying to buy off the Vikings, keep trying to buy off the junior doctors, all the same type of thing. What will happen? They'll just keep coming back for more, and eventually you have to say no. And Thatcher learned this lesson in the 1980s, and we've got a much better, stronger economy as a result of it. You cannot have people be in total thrall to trade unions who only care, of course, about their members at the expense, in this case, of patients. And that is going to be something that causes, I think, the loss of life if we're not careful.
Wow. Do you think the public are behind the doctors on this one?
No, I don't think so. I think the public feel, much more than most other people, how much we are in straitened times. We've talked about this, about how much the economy is struggling. We've felt about how much harder it is to make ends meet. Inflation going back up again. The economy is contracting under Rachel Reeves. Lots of job losses already. And so whilst they've had a bit of a pay rise already, the amount that they're asking for, it doesn't feel like we're all in this together, one nation kind of spirit. I do think you need to fix the NHS funding, both for doctors themselves. We've talked about this, that in Australia they're offering more money, so there are market forces at play here. You could just move to Dubai or somewhere like that. But at a time when everyone's struggling, we've all got to pitch in together.
All right, James, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Appreciate it. The good news is Alex Deakin has now finished his breakfast and is ready with the weather.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Bit of a switch around with the weather today. Some places having some pretty warm sunshine. But in the west, where we saw a fair bit of sunshine yesterday, there's more cloud around, and it's a bit of a damp start for western Scotland, parts of Northern Ireland too. After some rain yesterday, it's dangling in the southeast, looking much brighter today with some good spells of sunshine. The cloud and drizzly rain will spread through the central belt of Scotland into parts of northwest England, maybe West Wales, seeing a splash or two of light drizzly rain by this afternoon. But a good part of England and Wales will be dry and quite warm in this central zone over the Midlands down to parts of southeast Wales, temperatures getting into the mid-20s. Skies brightening for the afternoon over western Scotland and Northern Ireland. Slightly fresher feel here, but still some sunny spells. Just a few showers coming into the Highlands and the Western Isles. Some patchy rain over eastern Scotland into the late afternoon, but should clear away through the evening, as should any rain through the central belt. So turning fine and dry here and mostly fine to end the day across Northern Ireland. Some thicker cloud edging into Wales, southwest England, the odd little bit of rain here and there. Much of the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast staying fine through this evening, and still quite warm here also. Any of that rain tending to fizzle out as this band of cloud drifts its way from west to east across England and Wales. All the while tonight, a few showers will brush in on the brisk breeze across the far northwest as temperatures drop down into the low mid-teens in some places. On to the start of the weekend. It will be a fairly cloudy start, I suspect, across a good chunk of England and Wales. A bit of uncertainty about where we see the showers on Saturday. There is the potential, and it is just that, the threat of 1 or 2 heavy showers over East Anglia and the southeast, especially through the afternoon. For the Midlands, Northern England, southern Scotland, a scattering of showers. Quite a few showers again in the far northwest, but many areas will be dry on Saturday. We'll see some sunshine, not quite as warm, but temperatures close to average, high teens, low 20s.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Britain's Newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
Well, we have found some peacocks, so we've been speaking to people today, hearing from them how much of a nuisance they say they are. It is a real mix, though, here. Some people saying that actually they're all right, that they're part of the furniture of this village now. You can see this peacock here showing all of its feathers. I'm going to be very honest with you. We have just seen it attempt to mate the peahen that you can see behind it there. And this showing of feathers is part of the thing, what they do to try, part of the mating call here as well, to try and show all of the feathers off and everything like that. And there's a thing that they do train rattling as well. I wonder if Mr. Peacock might talk to us. Mr. Peacock, would you?
Come on, Jack. Come on, Jack. We need you to get involved.
Not sure. GB News, Jack.
This is your big David Attenborough moment, Jack.
Any questions to say to the nuisance you might be causing people? Any response?
Although this feels a little bit intimate now, there's a bit of a moment going on. It's all got a bit voyeuristic.
Very happy to talk to us so far this morning, but some residents of Tutbury here have spoken to us this morning. Take a listen to what they've told us about what they think about all these peacocks.
They've been here longer than I have, so I've lived in the house I live in at the top here 47 years. They've been there all that time, because they were from the castle to start with. The people at the castle used to have them. And they're just part of the village.
I hate them. When they do all that damage, it's heartbreaking, you know. Yeah, round them up and take them to a farm or a zoo, where they're supposed to be.
They're like the furniture. They should stay around here. You know, people just need to let them get on with what they are. They're nature's animals, and they deserve to live around here, don't they?
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Now, let's return to those strikes and junior doctors walking out again, but this time the government says they will feel the pain.
Well, up to 50,000 resident doctors are launching a 5-day strike demanding a 29% pay rise. That's despite them already having received a 28.9% pay boost in the past 3 years.
Government's not backing down, though. The Health Secretary has warned that patient care must come first.
But with nearly 1.5 million appointments already cancelled since 2022 due to strike action, will the government be able to hold the line?
And what do we, the people, make of it all? Let's head to Hull, I think, and our reporter Anna Riley. Morning, Anna.
Good morning. Yes, we're here at Hull Royal Infirmary where the picket line for this strike action is in full swing. You may be able to see the resident doctors behind us with their signs. Doctors only want £23 an hour, real deals, not meal deals, pay restoration for doctors. And of course, we were in the same place as this last year, as you mentioned, 11 strike actions across 2023 to 2024, with it eventually ending in July last year, but now doctors are asking for more. I'm joined by resident doctor Becky Ravel. Becky, just tell us, what is this strike action again about?
Resident doctors are back for exactly the same reason. Basically, we're here to correct 17 years of pay erosion that doctors have faced. So what we're asking for is that doctors starting fully qualified are to be paid £23 an hour. That will bring us back in line with 2008 pay.
And what would you say to people who already say you're on a decent wage as it is, you've already had a pay rise, why do you need more?
So the 22% that people keep on bringing up, actually, it sounds like a large number, but actually when you consider that at the start of the pay dispute, doctors were only paid £14 an hour. So 22% pay rise brought that to only £18 an hour. And I think most of the public would agree with us that that's just not enough for a fully qualified doctor.
And why would you say that is? Why is the more needed?
So the main reason is that we are actually losing doctors in this country. So last year alone we lost around 20,000 doctors, either to them leaving the country or leaving the profession entirely. So in order to keep doctors and to maintain safe staffing in the NHS, we really do need to be encouraging doctors to stay, to make it worthwhile. £23 an hour is not much to ask, especially considering most of these doctors here today will have £80,000 to £100,000 of debt that they'll never pay off. That money will come out of their wages every single month. They deserve a lot more than we're asking, but really we're trying to be reasonable and we're saying £23 an hour. What would you say to Wes Streeting's comments where he's called this strike action unjustifiable and he said you're putting patients at risk? Well, I wouldn't tend to take medical advice from a politician. I think we'd leave the assessment of medical risk to the medically qualified. But actually, we've made sure that consistently throughout all of our strike action that our patients are kept safe. Inside this building, we have our most senior colleagues, the most experienced doctors looking after all of our patients, keeping them safe. So I would urge anybody who needs emergency or urgent care to come into hospital like usual. Thank you, Becky. Thank you for speaking to us this morning. So that's the view from Hull Royal Infirmary here from resident doctors, and we'll be here throughout the morning as this strike action continues.
OK, Anna, there live for us in Hull. Thank you for bringing that to us.
It's difficult. It's difficult. And it's not even an argument to say, well, yes, well, of course they should be on decent money. Of course they should. But as they're saying, less than 2 years ago, they were on £14 an hour. Now they want to take... They're currently on 18. They want to take it to 23 from 14. I mean, it's a £9 an hour increase.
It's a lot, isn't it? You just got to think with other sectors. Would you...
Read the room.
Would you be able to do the same?
Of course not.
You couldn't ask for the same.
No, and if you do that for resident doctors, what is everybody else going to ask for in the NHS? Never mind other sectors.
Well, the government will be mindful of that, won't they? Anyway, let us know what you think. gbnews.com/you'll say. If you're travelling to work this morning, here's your traffic and travel update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M4 eastbound is closed from junction 45 Winnisforgan to junction 44 Lonlass due to maintenance, with diversions for drivers. On the M56 eastbound between junction 7 and junction 6, a broken down vehicle has one of 4 lanes closed. And on the M25 clockwise near junction 5 and junction 6, a broken down vehicle led to 1 lane being closed. Normal traffic conditions are expected to return shortly. And on the trains, there is disruption on cross-country services between Leeds and Wakefield Westgate. And the Elizabeth line is operating a reduced service between Abbey Wood and London Paddington. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Down to the last 7 days to see if you could win £54,321. Here's how you enter.
It's the final week to see how you could win big. It's our biggest cash prize to date, an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. What would you do with that? With all of that cash, you could just chill out, treat yourself and indulge in the finer things in life, somewhere like here, Downhall Hotel and Spa. You really could win the cash giveaway of the summer. Make sure you don't miss out on our biggest cash giveaway to date.
For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, just like week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lionesses' Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Welcome Welcome back. It's sports time. Paul Coyte's here with us.
Morning.
Morning.
Should we start with Isak?
Yeah, Alexander Isak. Let's do a little Isak, shall we? Newcastle fans are probably a little worried about this because he's arguably their best player. He's a terrific footballer. Striker for Newcastle, and there's a Tour of Asia. Now, I don't know whether that's him not going on the Tour of Asia there, that picture, and there he is, he's scoring a goal, and he scored plenty of them as well. So it's a 30-man squad that Newcastle is sending out there. So many clubs do that because they make a lot of money on these tours. And then they announced that he would be missing out because he had a minor thigh injury, which turns out to be no minor thigh injury. It looks like he just wants out.
Right.
So it seems that he looks like he would like to go to Liverpool. Now, the other thing, the most important thing of all this weekend, sorry about the Lions, but it's the Lionesses.
It is.
In the final of the Euros. Are we happy? Are we confident? Are we feeling all right?
I think we need to be confident, actually. When you look at it, Spain aren't as strong as perhaps we fear. I think we'll be all right.
OK, well, I'm confident too. I'm confident too. It's all about the momentum. All about the momentum. Let's hear from Kira Walsh first. England player. This is her because, you know, we're playing Spain. We lost to them in the World Cup final. This is what she had to say going into the game.
I think, obviously, we come in every tournament and we want to reach the final. But, yeah, maybe the way we've done it is a little bit more stressful for everyone. But I think that's kind of the beauty of this team is that we are relentless and we've got belief in ourselves that even in the 90th minute we can get a goal and we can win. And, yeah, I think that's, what's really special about us at the minute.
Let's hope we do. The forerunners to the Lionesses. Have you heard about the Lost Lionesses? Are you familiar with the Lost Lionesses?
From the 70s?
Yeah, 1971. Because women's football, did you know, was not even allowed. It was banned up until the early 70s. It's true. It's completely insane. So the Lionesses, they went over to play in the World Cup in Mexico, and they weren't even sanctioned by the FA because they didn't believe in it, didn't think it was allowed. Now, there's more to this story. Now, a book's been written. Olympic badminton medalist, friend of ours, and whose mum was one of the Lionesses, Gail Ems, joins us right now. Morning, Gail.
Good morning. Sorry, excuse my mess in my kitchen.
Yeah, can you put the Hoover around before you come on? We'd appreciate that. Thank you very much. No, listen, it's lovely to see you. The Lionesses, so this is an amazing story, isn't it? I know you've written the book, The Lost Lionesses, and your mum played, so it's true that it was banned?
It was. It's the most bonkers story. But in 1921, the FA decided to ban women's football because they didn't believe that girls should be be allowed to kick a football. Right. And in the 60s, obviously 66, we won the World Cup, and there were groups of girls that really wanted to play, but the FA were like, no, it's not suitable for women. And my mum was part of this team that went out to the 1971 Women's World Cup, and it was run by a group of Italian businessmen. So it wasn't, FIFA didn't want it, no one wanted it. But it was actually held in the Azteca Stadium. My mum played in front of 90,000 people.
Wow.
And it was just incredible, a massive commercial success. And when they got home, the FA banned them all for defying them. But a great stat is that there are only 6 English people that have ever scored in the Azteca. Gary Lineker's top with 3 goals, and my mum's next with 2. So, to have that growing up, that's such an iconic person to have. So it's so good to watch the women now and, see how awesome they're doing. It pains me that my mum had to go through what she had to go through to get to where we are now.
It's absolutely crazy. And do the players now and do the FA pay homage to the team that went before? Because you say they're Lost Lionesses, and they were the ones that started the whole thing, really. I
know, they were the trailblazers. And do you know what's lovely? Serena Wiegmann has recognised them. So my mum and other girls have been in front of the girls that are playing, on Sunday, and they've told them their story, because Serena's so passionate about that standing on the shoulder of giants, that phrase. And my mum and, the girls have talked about what they had to go through to get to, the Mexico World Cup. But the FA, no, they are saying that the girls shouldn't have gone and that they won't recognise them. So the 1972 team has been recognised, but none of the girls who went to 1971 were never, ever asked for a trial because they went to Mexico. So it's really sad.
You know what? You'd think these days that they would actually come back and say, because there's so much behind women's football, obviously, and Mark Bullingham is on TV talking all the time, just at least recognise what they did.
I know, and it's so sad because there was a chance to have the 1972 Women's World Cup in Wembley. Jeff Hurst and Bobby Moore all wanted to put their own money because they saw how it was a great success in Mexico. They went to the FA with £50,000 of their own money to say, this is it, we want to invest in it, and the FA voted no. So, it's just like, you just want to do that sometimes. But that's what makes the story, and that's why it makes it even more important that, our Lionesses now know what these girls went through. And I think that's what's really important. It's just a bit more of an emotional connection, I reckon.
How does your mum feel about it all now?
Oh, do you know what? They're so lovely. The mum and all the girls. We've lost one of the girls, unfortunately, Lillian. But they all were in a little WhatsApp group, and they're like, oh, let's cheer with the girls. And some of the girls have gone out there. Even a couple of the Lost Lionesses are in Switzerland cheering the girls on.
Great.
And that's what's so lovely. They're so humble. So that's what I love about them. They're just brilliant ladies, and they deserve a little bit more.
And finally, how do you think the game's going to go?
After seeing Spain's performance against Germany, I reckon we've got a chance. I was thinking, Spain were full-out favourites, but now I don't think they were that good in the semi-final. So I think it's going to be another close one, and probably Lionesses will put us through every single emotion possible. But, praying for a win, because that'd be amazing again.
Let's hope so. Gail, really good to speak to you. Thanks so much for your time. We'll talk pickleball next time.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
We'll talk pickleball next time.
We should start a campaign for those ladies. I think we should get them recognised.
You'd think by now, wouldn't you? You'd think by now. I think you understand back in the day how things were and it was awful, but now the FA, there's so much behind it, and they're, surely now it's at least come along to a game at Wembley. We appreciate everything you did. Get them on the pitch.
That'd be
give them a
nice.
wave. They've been playing at the Azteca Stadium in front of 90,000 people, but they were pretty much independents because they weren't looked after by their own FA.
We shall change it. We shall. Paul, thank you very much indeed.
Corey,
fingers crossed for Sunday, 5 o'clock Sunday.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Do stay with us still to come. We'll be going through the papers with Theo Ashwood and Charlotte Griffiths. But first, if you're in search of some holidays...
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, it's the hottest time of the year over the eastern Mediterranean, but even so, temperatures are going to be 5 to 10 degrees above average through Cyprus and parts of Turkey. Inland temperatures could get into the mid-40s. Not hot, though, across central and western parts of the Med, with quite a few outbreaks of showery rain spreading south across Italy. Largely fine and sunny for Spain and Portugal. Plenty of sunshine in the Canaries, and temperatures also rising in Tenerife into next week, getting into the mid-30s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Good afternoon, Britain. A cheerful lollipop man's signature high fives have been stopped in their tracks.
Oh dear. Well, Neil Cotton, believed by local children... sorry. I'll start that all over again. This is a chap called Neil Cotton, and he's beloved by local kids in Howden, East Yorkshire. And he's been told by the council to stop the friendly high-fiving gesture, all in the name of health and safety.
But many parents and motorists are calling it nonsense. No surprises there. So apparently this chap, 57 years old, he spent the last 2 years brightening up the school run in the East Yorkshire town of Howden. There he is. Looks like a nice guy, doesn't he? He has a cheerful attitude. He has his signature high fives. The children love it. The parents love it. He loves it. But no, the council says, get on with your job and stop the high fives.
This is the one area of employment where the council's trying to chivvy people on and get them to work harder rather than less hard. But I mean, what have we done in this country where we've sort of abandoned our sense of whimsy? I think
Whimsy.
adding a sense of whimsy to all jobs, I think, is a fundamental productivity measure. Actually, I think if you're enjoying what you're doing, you're going to be doing it better. People are going to go into school or away from school with a smile on their face. What a joyful thing in a town in Yorkshire. I mean, amazing, brilliant. And yet, no, of course, the clipboards have to come out, and the dour library monitor style individuals. I bet they're all library monitors at school. They've just got to tell people that they can't have fun.
Yeah, so the children have to be shooed along. They can't be distracted by such frivolities as a high five.
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back.
Go on.
We're going through the papers with political commentator Theo Usherwood and editor-at-large at the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths. Morning, you two. Theo, let's start with the Daily Telegraph, shall we? And Jewish comedy gigs at the Fringe have had to be cancelled.
Yes, this is the story of stand-ups Rachel Krieger and Philip Simon. They were booked to perform at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. Miss Krieger has a show called The Ultimate Jewish Mother. Mr. Simon was due to host Jeworama, but both acts were cancelled because staff at the venue expressed fears of feeling unsafe. And there was the venue said they were going to need extra police supervision. I think this is a dire state of affairs.
No, well, it is, isn't it?
It's a disgrace.
If we can't have these particular acts, because it's pandering to those who are making the threatening action by saying, well, we're just simply going to cancel the gig. You might have opposition to Israel, but there's no excuse for this.
You don't have to equate a Jewish comedian to the Jewish state. If you really disagree with what Israel is doing, fine, that's your prerogative. But you don't have to take it out just on someone who happens to be a Jewish comedian.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is there's a little bit of snowflakery going on here, because one of the reasons they had to close was because the bar staff wouldn't come in, and you can't run a comedy venue without bar staff. Now, the bar staff have been told there will be extra policing, which is shameful in itself. So if there's extra policing, I'd feel more safe to come to work. But the snowflake said, well, if there's extra policing, that means it's unsafe and I can't come in. So they've fallen out. I mean, the solution to a safety problem shouldn't be to remove the Comedy Act. It's to do everything but that, really. And I have to say, I think the bar staff should have taken a stand and said, well, great, thanks for policing me, I'll make sure I come to work that day.
Yeah, well, yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? In the Daily Mail, something which actually it's nice to see proved, but it comes as no surprise, Charlotte, tourist pricing.
Well, because disliking French waiters is like a national pastime, I thought I had to flag this story. So an undercover reporter for Le Parisien, actually two undercover reporters, went to the cafes in Paris next to the Eiffel Tower. One dressed up as an American and one was just being French. And the French person was given free water, offered a small Coke at a cheap price and a little bit of lasagna at a reasonable price. The American was offered a half a litre or more of Coke and wasn't given a smaller option, garlic bread, charged for water, generally ripped off, charged 15% for the tip instead of 10%. And it sort of confirms what we've all known, really, which is that when you go to Paris, you get ripped off, and French waiters can be a little bit mickey-taking, to say the least.
Oh, it's terrible. It's so annoying. It's no surprising.
The French taking the mickey. Who would have thought it?
We went when we were in Paris last year, and we went and we sat down for breakfast and they said, would you like some fresh orange juice? So we went, yeah, all right. We weren't particularly bothered. When it came to paying the bill, they were charging us €11 a glass.
11 euros?
That's why they asked.
Yeah.
That's what they were charging for the Coca-Cola.
It was freshly squeezed, but we hadn't really wanted it. They just sort of said, oh, do you want,
being upsold. To be fair, being upsold happens in London as well. I'm always aware of being sneakily upsold a piece of garlic bread or orange juice.
Leaves a horrible taste in your mouth, though, doesn't it?
Literally.
Garlic bread.
Pardon the pun. Well, no, when you're
Yeah.
When you're being ripped off.
When you're being ripped
really
off at your dinner, yeah.
Yeah.
Theo, let's have a look at the Telegraph front page, shall we? And farms closing at a record rate after the inheritance tax rate.
The Chancellor was warned.
Yeah.
We knew that this was going to happen, and it's worrying, I think, because these are family businesses. That exemption existed for a reason, because it is, the asset is, tied up in machinery, it's tied up in land. Farmers are not cash rich, and it is inevitable that they have to sell up. And many farmers are just realising that actually there's no, people realising they're approaching their latter years, there's no benefit to holding on to their farms. And this, I think, actually goes to a broader question about our own food security.
Yeah.
Farms in this country, produce foods that arrives in our supermarkets, on our kitchen tables, and it's much, we've seen what's happened with energy, during Ukraine, Russia's invasion of Ukraine. I would have thought, and I know this is an argument that's been put forward by the National Farmers Union, that actually we're far better off having British farms producing British food for British consumers, worse, but for the very simple reason that, if we see conflicts around the world or instability, we can be self-reliant.
Stop talking common sense, Theo. Common sense doesn't wash in this country anymore.
Do you think was that too much common sense?
It was a lot of common sense, so clearly it won't get anywhere. Let's just finish off, Charlotte, because obviously when a pub has been burgled multiple times, good old police turn up and bash the doors in.
Yeah, I love this. So there was a broken window at this pub. It had been burgled, I think, 3 times in a week. So the police came, saw the open window, and instead of putting his arm through it to unlock the door, he battered down the door. And it turns out the doors cost £5,000. So the owner was saying, for God's sake, you must realise that as a policeman of burglars, you can put your hand through the open window and unlock the door.
Oh, do they get any money back for that? Are the police liable for that?
Well, I hope so.
The article didn't actually say, but I should hope so.
That's utterly crazy. End up respond to a burglary and put the pub out of business in the process.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Well, at least the policeman actually turned up,
Well, that's true.
A fantastic point.
That's true. Yes. All right, Charlotte, Theo, it's been short but sweet. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you too. Let's get a check on the weather now, shall we? And let's hope the sun is out for us today. Alex Deacon's got all of the details.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Bit of a switch around with the weather today. Some places having some pretty warm sunshine. In the west, where we saw a fair bit of sunshine yesterday, there's more cloud around, and it's a bit of a damp start for western Scotland, parts of Northern Ireland too. After some rain yesterday, it's dangling in the southeast, looking much brighter today with some good spells of sunshine. The cloud and drizzly rain will spread through the central belt of Scotland into parts of northwest England, maybe West Wales, seeing a splash or two of light drizzly rain by this afternoon. But a good part of England and Wales will be dry and quite warm in this central zone over the Midlands down to parts of southeast Wales, temperatures getting into the mid-20s. Skies brightening for the afternoon over western Scotland and Northern Ireland. Slightly fresher feel here, but still some sunny spells. Just a few showers coming into the Highlands and the Western Isles. Some patchy rain over eastern Scotland into the late afternoon, but should clear away through the evening, as should any rain through the central belt. So turning fine and dry here, and mostly fine to end the day across Northern Ireland. Some thicker cloud edging into Wales, southwest England, the odd little bit of rain here and there. Much of the Midlands, East Anglia, the southeast staying fine through this evening, and still quite warm here also. Any of that rain tending to fizzle out as this band of cloud drifts its way from west to east across England and Wales. All the while tonight, a few showers will brush in on the brisk breeze across the far northwest as temperatures drop down into the low mid-teens in some places. On to the start of the weekend, and it will be a fairly cloudy start, I suspect, across a good chunk of England and Wales. A bit of uncertainty about where we see the showers on Saturday. There is the potential, and it is just that, the threat of 1 or 2 heavy showers over East Anglia and the southeast, especially through the afternoon. For the Midlands, Northern England, southern Scotland, a scattering of showers. Quite a few showers again in the far northwest, but many areas will be dry on Saturday. We'll see some sunshine, not quite as warm, but temperatures close to average, high teens, low 20s.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M4 eastbound is closed between junctions 45 Innisforgan and 44 Lionesses due to maintenance. Diversions are in place and alternative routes are advised. Southbound traffic on the A82 near Erskine Bridge faces delays due to a broken down vehicle. Motorists should allow extra travel time. In Surrey, a broken down vehicle on the M25 clockwise between junctions 5 and 6 has closed one of 4 lanes. And on the trains, cross-country services face disruptions between Leeds and Wakefield Westgate. The Elizabeth line offers a reduced service between Abbey Wood and London Paddington. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's the final week to see how you can win big, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? The holiday of a lifetime? Or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? Lines close on the 1st of August, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lionesses' Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good morning. The Prime Minister makes a last-minute plea with junior doctors to halt their strike.
Sir Keir Starmer is warning it puts patients at risk and plays into the hands of those who want the NHS to fail.
But with unions digging in, is this standoff going to sink the health service?
We're here at Hull Royal Infirmary as resident doctors have formed this picket line. Behind us, they're calling for £23 an hour in terms of pay, and we'll be speaking to them very shortly.
Britain's shoplifting epidemic surges to a record high, with thefts rising by 20% in a year. It comes as the government announced tough Texas-style courts to be rolled out across the country.
Epping's police commissioner tells the government to stop sending migrants to unsuitable hotels to avoid fueling community tension. It comes as councillors demand asylum seekers are closed amid fears of a summer of unrest.
Donald Trump heads to Scotland beginning today. The US president will make a 4-day visit to his golf resort in Ayrshire. The trip is being described by the White House as a private visit, although he is going to meet with Sir Keir Starmer.
Stop points, 6-foot fences and snipers. This part of Ayrshire is now in lockdown, awaiting the arrival of President Trump. He'll spend 5 days here in Scotland talking to Keir Starmer and First Minister John Swinney.
Justice Department official in the States have met Jeffrey Epstein's longtime girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, as pressure grows on the Trump administration to release files linked to the disgraced financier's sex trafficking network.
Tributes pour in for the wrestling legend Hulk Hogan, who has died aged 71.
Bit of a switch around with the weather today. If you were dull and damp yesterday, chances are you'll see some warm sunshine today. And if you had some sunny spells yesterday, greater chance of a little bit of rain today. If you can't remember what weather you had yesterday, then join me later for a full forecast.
It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. We were talking about domestic skills earlier, weren't we? And sewing. And it was a survey by Good Housekeeping that it basically says that people, well, young people, don't sew anymore. They've lost that skill.
We should be taught about it at school. Sewing, knitting, crochet, all that sort of thing.
Exactly that. Well, Brian says when we were at school, we were taught cooking, woodwork, all home economics, and it was the skill that was taught at school.
Yeah.
Simon says the opposite. He says, is this another parental responsibility that we are asking schools to take on? Anything like sewing, cooking, or managing a household budget needs to be learnt at home and taught by a parent or grandparent.
Well, yeah, great. If it happens. I mean, I was taught all those things at school. We had woodwork and metalwork and cookery, and we did knitting and sewing and all sorts.
And I bet you learnt at home as well with your parents.
Well, we did a lot of baking with Mum and things.
That's cute.
But Mum was a teacher.
Chris Hope has a view.
Oh, have you?
I do. I think YouTube's quite helpful.
YouTube?
My daughter learned to sew off YouTube and makes dresses.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. YouTube exists, Steve, in the modern world. Not all just teachers and parents. Yeah, YouTube.
There's a third option here.
Yeah.
Third option.
Don't need to learn at school. You can learn off YouTube.
But these things are important. I think they are important.
Yeah. Eric says most young people are domestically useless.
Yeah.
I think it's very important to learn how to cook for yourself.
Oh,
people that go off to university and they can't boil an egg.
It's hopeless.
Or know how to make toast.
Or a cup of tea.
Very concerning.
It's not right. It's not on. It's not on. You've got to be able to do these things. It doesn't take forever. It doesn't take a lesson a week to be able to do it, but you should have it at some point during term time.
Yeah, absolutely. And one last one from Joe, who says, kids aren't interested in any type of manual life skills now. Have you tried to get a plumber or a mechanic lately?
That's why they charge so much now.
So true.
Because they're in high demand.
There's a lot of money to be made.
There is. That's why people should learn it. Heck, think of the fortune you could make. Anyway, talking of skills, junior doctors, those strikes are happening now. This time, though, the government says they're going to feel the pain.
Well, up to 50,000 resident doctors are launching a 5-day strike demanding a 29% pay rise. That's despite them already having received a 28.9% pay boost in the past 3 years.
Government isn't backing down, though. The Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, has warned that patient care must come first and that striking could hurt the doctors' careers.
But with nearly 1.5 million appointments already cancelled since 2022 due to strike action, will the government be able to hold the line?
Let's talk to our political editor, Christopher Hope, who, as you know, is here. I mean, it does seem to be a proper standoff at the minute.
It really is, and lots of money tipped into the pockets of junior doctors, resident doctors in the past 3 years, 28.9%, as you say there. They want the similar money again, 29%. Wes Streeting warning yesterday in a private phone call of broader contagion across other public sectors. So these numbers are watched by teachers and other groups. Think, well, if they're getting nearly 30% and the government caves to that, why can't they have some of that too? And that's why I think is a worry going into the summer. We saw, didn't we, that Labour came in last summer, immediately acceded to those demands. Yes, ended the issues in the health service. Yes, got voters, viewers of ours, treated more quickly, but frankly, it's getting worse again.
OK, well, Chris, do stay with us. We'll be back with you in just a few moments. We're going to cross live now to Westminster and speak to the government, speak to the Secretary of State for Science, Innovation and Technology, Peter Kyle. Good to see you this morning, Peter Kyle. Let's start talking about the doctor's strike, shall we? Because that action started about 2 hours ago. Do you accept now that your government was naive to think that if you handed the junior doctors, the resident doctors, 22%, that they wouldn't come back for more?
No, it was fair. You know, we have offered, we haven't negotiated pay rises across the public sector based on what we think they might do in the future. We've based on what we believe is fair for their pay at that moment in time. Now, we have delivered the fairness that the public expect of us, that patients require of us, and we accept that under the 14 years of mismanagement that went before, that there were issues with regards to pay, which we are now in the process of correcting. What is not fair is the expectation that you can negotiate a 28.9% increase over 3 years and then come straight back for more. That's not in the interests of the NHS. It is not in the interests of patients themselves. There are hard-working resident doctors out there. I think they are being poorly led by the management and the leadership of the BMA in this regard, and I hope that those doctors will think very carefully about the interests of the patients that they are there to serve.
So it was fair to raise them up by 28.9%, but it's not fair to take them back up to the levels they were getting in 2008?
It is fair to move forward at a pace of which the public finances can afford, and based on the needs of the individual public sector workers right across the board. Now, it just so happens that the resident doctors got the largest pay rise across the public sector. That is something which is a credit to their profession and the fairness that we believe needs to be brought to bear to recognise that in the moment in time that we're in. But we must have regard to public finances. We must have regard to all public sector workers. We will not allow one particular part of that to streak forward at the expense of others. This is the Labour Party. We follow the need, not just the noise. And right now there is a lot of noise coming from the top of the BMA, but we recognise there's a lot of need when it comes to pay across the public sector, in education, in health, in welfare, those people who are trying to get people back to work, all these important jobs that we do in the public sector, including those who aren't able to strike in our military and in our police forces. We are the Labour Party, we are looking out for them, but particularly all those people who rely on our public services, they need fairness in it, and the BMA and the people leading it need to be cognizant that we are a political party, we are a government that looks at the public services in the round and will not be distracted from that mission.
You know, that all sounds well and good and very political. I have to tell you, I'm just reminded of when you did this, when they got the big pay rise a year ago. I remember being down the pub and people, ordinary working people, quite literally saying to me, oh, they've done it now, they'll be back for more. I mean, Ellie's right, isn't she? There is a level of naivety. If you went and talked to real people up and down the country, they would have said to you, as they did to me, they're going to want more.
Actually, that's not true when you look at the way that other unions have acted and other professions have acted right across the public sector. We have a particular issue right now with the leadership of the BMA. We negotiated a fair deal, a deal that rewarded and recognised the really incredible contribution that resident doctors make to the health of our nation. And if we're not a healthy nation, we can't become a wealthy nation. So it's incredibly important the work they do. But we also gave fair pay rises to other parts of the public sector as well, right across our public services, from the nurses through to the teachers and the people working right across and keeping our hospitals and schools and other public places clean. You know, we did all of this work in the first year to take those first crucial steps forward. As a result, we've got 4 million extra appointments in the NHS, for example. We've got all of our public services facing the future at last. But the other unions in the other parts of the public sector and the other workers in other parts of the public sector have respected the fact that we have to move forward responsibly. There is only one part of our public services right now which doesn't recognise that need for fairness in our remuneration and in our public services and the responsibility to our public finances, and that is the leadership of the BMA, who I believe is poorly serving the resident doctors themselves.
Can I ask you about the situation in Epping? Very heavy police presence last night. We've also seen protesting outside Canary Wharf, that hotel there. Lots of community tensions at the moment over migrant hotels. Fears of a summer of unrest. How is the government going to protect people and ensure that that doesn't happen?
Well, as you can see, some very sensitive policing is required at times like this, and I urge responsible reporting, not just from news organisations that do so, but also those people who are first responders and have access to social media and large followers, to really be responsible at this very sensitive moment in time. But let's be really clear, this is a government that wants to end use of hotels. Under the previous Tory administration, they were taking more than 400 hotels around the country. We are now using about 200. That is a trajectory that we want to maintain. We accept that it is not good value for money, it is not appropriate to be using these hotels, and it's not good for anyone. So we have a broken asylum system. The Tories admit that they broke the asylum system and it was a broken system under them. We've inherited that. It's a complicated system. We need to take action, which is why the agreements we've negotiated with France in recent weeks is really important to stem the flow. We need to make sure we increase the returns. We've already returned 35,000 asylum seekers that didn't have permission to remain here, and we're taking action on the hotels as well. We realise it is a complicated situation that people expect action on, but believe me, nobody wants to deliver that more than Keir Starmer, myself, Yvette Cooper and this government.
I know we're running out of time, so I want to ask you about your brief and access to dangerous materials online for children. I know there are new rules coming into force today with how you can access pornography and the like online, but what's going to be the effect on things like social media, which we know in and of itself is damaging to children?
Completely right. So today there's a big step forward, because platforms providing content to children must ensure that that content is age appropriate. They must use age verification systems which are suitable for the technology that they deploy to prevent under 18s having inappropriate material put into their feeds or accessing it, and they must stop under 13s from having access to social media at all. Most children don't go looking for harmful content. The harmful content has been finding its way to them. That is the problem that we've had with the internet, that the tech companies themselves haven't tackled, that previous governments have not tackled, but right now we are taking the biggest step forward in the experience that children and parents will experience online since the creation of the internet. It's not going to solve every problem, but believe me, this is a big moment in time from which we can move forward.
OK, Peter Carr, we're out of time with you this morning, but thank you very much.
Christopher Hope,
thank you.
Still here. I know we're all very tight for time, Chris. On that issue and online safety, basically, this could prove to be significant, actually, couldn't it?
It could be if it works. I've heard elsewhere people trying to see if they can go on these sites. You give out an email address and you're straight into it without any idea of asking how old you are. So let's see if it works.
Yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed that it does.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Trump?
Yes, we can.
Because he's heading to Scotland today.
Touchdown 7 p.m. tonight. 5-day visit, Turnberry and Aberdeenshire. Playing golf and meeting Sir Keir Starmer on Monday. I'll be there for GB News reporting on that. I'm in the room too, I think, in that meeting with Keir Starmer, asking questions our viewers want to hear the answers to. Talk about Ukraine, the AUKUS submarine deal, but also how to expand that trade deal. I brought along my a talking pen so you can get into the mood. Here we are. He may say that if I ask him a question. Are you the greatest person
Well,
ever?
we know he's a big fan of yours.
Yes, he did.
What did he say about you that time?
I've got a nice face.
You've got a nice face.
Always smiling.
So who knows what will happen?
In the Oval Office.
Who knows what will happen on Monday?
We'll wait and see. And also a big issue quickly on Gaza, because France has recognised the Palestinian state, joining 150 other countries doing the same thing. There's a call today between Germany, France and the UK about what to do about that, because I think that's going to put pressure, or that could be part of that conversation with Donald Trump.
Oh, very interesting. OK. Christopher Hope, thank you very much. Good to see you this morning. Well, let's return to those doctors' strikes, which began this morning, actually, at 7 o'clock for 5 days. GB News reporter Anna Riley is on the picket lines for us in Hull. Morning to you, Anna.
Hold the sign up, thank you.
Good morning. Yes, we are on the picket line. You can hear horns beeping. There is support for this strike with plenty of signs out here, including doctors only want £23 an hour. Just got some police going past there as well. But yeah, we're joined now by Becky Lavelle. You are a resident doctor. You're sort of coordinating this strike action today. What's it all about? It's 11 times it's happened already. 1.5 million cancelled appointments, £1.7 billion in taxpayer money, a cost of these strikes so far.
So, I mean, we've had a consistent message. We're always asking for exactly the same thing, and that is to have our pay restored to 2008 levels. That amounts to giving fully qualified doctors £23 an hour. I can only apologise to any patients who've had appointments cancelled or delayed as a result of our strikes, but in the long term we're hoping that by taking our action we'll be able to retain enough doctors in this country to maintain the service for many years to come. We really wish it hadn't come to this. I'd much rather be inside that hospital building now than stood outside it. But realistically, it's £23 an hour. Let's call these strikes off for £23 an hour.
Thank you, Becky. So that's the take from the picket line here at Hull Royal Infirmary.
Thank you very much indeed. Let's just give you something to smile about this morning, should we? Because I think you need it after all the headlines. You could get your hands on £54,321 in our Great British Giveaway, but it's the last week. So if you want to enter, the time is now.
It's the final week to see how you could win big. It's our biggest cash prize to date, an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. What would you do with that? With all of that cash, you could just chill out, treat yourself and indulge in the finer things in life, somewhere like here, Downhall Hotel and Spa. You really could win the cash giveaway of the summer. Make sure you don't miss out on our biggest cash giveaway to date.
For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
King Charles is stepping back from one of the most traditional royal duties, that's riding on horseback for Trooping of the Colour, which is coming up, I think, in a week's time, isn't it? At 76 and undergoing cancer treatment, he'll now take the salute from a carriage, just as Queen Elizabeth did in her later years. But as the King trades saddle for state coach, it raises a bigger question. Does the pomp and pageantry of royal events like Trooping the Colour still resonate with modern Britain? Or are we holding on to rituals that really reflect the country, and do we really care?
I think the spectacle is important because it's symbolic, OK, and people really respond to that notion of heritage and grandeur. But I think it's about more than that. It's about constitutional monarchy. And there are 3 key points here. Constitutional monarchy produces higher standards of living than republics. It protects property rights and individual property because in the long term, it's not as vulnerable to ideology. And it holds a check on politicians as well. I'd much rather have King Charles than President Blair. And it's about continuity.
Legoland is just a short hop, skip and jump away from Windsor Castle. It gets many more visitors than any royal castle or other event. So we don't need the royals to have spectacle. We can have spectacle without it. And
Okay,
I think,
but you're not suggesting chopping their heads off, are you?
Oh, no, of course not. Of course not. No, I'd be very
clarifying that.
fine. Very kind and gentle. But the one point that was made was that the royals are part of British culture and tradition. Well, in fact, the royals are German descent, who were basically, by their own internal agreement, took over the British throne.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
So Donald Trump will be in Scotland by 7 o'clock tonight, but the security and preparations all underway. Tony Maguire has been held at checkpoint, I imagine. Morning, Tony.
Good morning, good morning. Yeah, I'm actually at the other checkpoint today, just at the other side of the Turnberry Resort. And just to give you a sense, over here we've got the checkpoint where cars are stopped from going in. Many of them are then searched over at the tents behind me on my other shoulder. And just the intensity of the police operation here, and bear in mind this is only one of 2 locations. In fact, it's been estimated that this visit could actually cost the taxpayer around £14 million. But let's be real here, we've got a sitting US president who's invested greatly in Scotland coming to our country. This is not a state visit, this is a very much a private, a personal visit. The President expects to play a couple of rounds of golf, forget about the many woes over in America just now, and meet with Keir Starmer and John Swinney. Nevertheless, his visit here in Scotland, as you can imagine, has divided people. You know, many of them glad to see him recognise his links to Scotland, others not so much. Some people in Glasgow actually shared their opinion about the President's arrival.
I don't think many Scottish people would feel he's welcome. I think it's an embarrassment that he is coming here at all, personally.
People have their own opinions and I like to not offend people, so I would say he's welcome to come. Talking is always good. To divide and keep people separate from one another without discussing tends to create more problems than conversation.
I don't care. Doesn't interest me at all. He's investing in Scotland, so yeah, why not? We don't, what he does over in his island, fine. When he comes to our island, it's fine with me.
Tony Maguire, thank you very much for bringing that to us.
Right, coming up very shortly, it's Britain's Newsroom with Nana and Ben. Morning, you two.
Good morning.
Morning.
Otherwise known as Banana, as
Banana.
you know.
We'll never forget.
Well, it is the first day of a 5-day doctor strike. Are the junior or resident doctors, are they just being incredibly greedy after their previous pay hikes? They're looking for 20% more, which a lot of people think is really out of order. We'll be talking about that.
There was a little piece in the Times I saw this morning. Did you know how much has been lost to fraud or overpayment at the DWP over the past year?
No.
Yes. Nearly £10 billion a year. Last year, 9.7 billion. Flagrant use of taxpayer money.
Also, the poor farmers, lots of farms being closed down. We will be talking about the effects of Rachel Reid's clever NI and all the other stuff that she's put into place. But first, let's get some weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Bit of a switch around with the weather today. Some places having some pretty warm sunshine. In the west, where we saw a fair bit of sunshine yesterday, there's more cloud around, and it's a bit of a damp start for western Scotland, parts of Northern Ireland too. After some rain yesterday, it's dangling in the southeast, looking much brighter today with some good spells of sunshine. The cloud and drizzly rain will spread through the central belt of Scotland into parts of northwest England, maybe West Wales, seeing a splash or two of light drizzly rain by this afternoon. But a good part of England and Wales will be dry and quite warm in this central zone over the Midlands down to parts of southeast Wales. Temperatures getting into the mid-20s. Skies brightening for the afternoon over western Scotland and Northern Ireland. Slightly fresher feel here, but still some sunny spells. Just a few showers coming into the Highlands and the Western Isles. Some patchy rain over eastern Scotland into the late afternoon, but should clear away through the evening. Should any rain through the central belt, so turning fine and dry here and mostly fine to end the day across Northern Ireland. Some thicker cloud edging into Wales, southwest England, the odd little bit of rain here and there. Much of the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast staying fine through this evening and still quite warm here also. Any of that rain tending to fizzle out as this band of cloud drifts its way from west to east across England and Wales. All the while tonight, a few showers will brush in on the brisk breeze across the far northwest as temperatures drop down into the low mid-teens in some places. On to the start of the weekend, and it will be a fairly cloudy start, I suspect, across a good chunk of England and Wales. A bit of uncertainty about where we see the showers on Saturday. There is the potential, and it is just that, the threat of one or